Consider the desert at night. A vast, silent sea of sand under a velvet dark, strewn with the diamond dust of nameless stars. Here, great pyramids rise, not merely as tombs for forgotten kings, but as the quiet fingers of the earth reaching for the cosmos. They are machines of ascension, sacred architecture mapping a journey from the terrestrial to the divine. They are blueprints, not of stone and labor, but of consciousness itself. If your soul possessed such a blueprint, etched not in granite but in stillness, would you dare to read it? Would you have the courage to trace its lines and follow them to their origin? Contrast this eternal silence with the ceaseless static of the world you inhabit. A world buzzing with a frantic, hollow energy. A cacophony of notifications, a torrent of opinions, a marketplace of anxieties where your attention is the most sought-after currency. There is a deep and weary hum beneath it all, a feeling of profound displacement, a sense that you are living within a tomb of expectations, beautifully decorated but sealed from the light. You can feel it, can't you? The quiet ache for something more, the suspicion that you were meant to be a living temple, not a sealed sepulchre, a conduit for magic, not a container for fear. This is your invitation to step away. Let the noise of the world recede to a distant shore. Let the demands and the deadlines and the digital ghosts fade into the periphery. For the next while, there is nowhere to go, nothing to do, and no one to be. See this time not as an escape, but as an expedition, a journey inward into the cool, silent chambers of your own inner pyramid. We are not here to study history. We are here to excavate the self, to light a torch and descend the stone steps into the great below, to find the treasure that has been waiting patiently through all the ages of your life, the treasure of who you truly are, beneath it all. The journey begins not with a step, but with a breath. So breathe, and let us begin. We begin our journey at the foot of a monument that is not a monument. Before the great Giza plateau, there sits a sentinel, a guardian carved from the living bedrock of the earth, the great Sphinx. For millennia, it has watched the sun rise and set, its gaze fixed on a point beyond our horizon, its expression unreadable, its secret held in a chamber of absolute silence. It has been battered by winds, buried by sand, and puzzled over by conquerors and scholars alike. And through it all, it has said nothing. And in its nothingness, it says everything. This is our first lesson, and perhaps the most profound. Within you, right now, resides this same silent, powerful witness, a sphinx of your own soul, waiting patiently for you to acknowledge its presence. It is the part of you that has watched every scene of your life unfold, every joy, every sorrow, every moment of confusion and clarity. It is the silent knower, the unshakable core. And the first step into your inner temple is to learn the language it speaks, the language of silence. But we are terrified of silence. We have become a civilization that runs from the quiet as if it were a predator. Look at your own life, with honesty, with the gentle curiosity of an archaeologist examining a relic. When do you allow for true silence? The moment a conversation ends, a hand reaches for a phone. The moment you are alone in a car, the radio or a podcast must fill the space. We work with music, eat with television, walk with headphones clamped over our ears, sealing ourselves away from the world, while simultaneously sealing ourselves away from our own inner landscape. We have become addicted to noise, to input, to the constant, frantic hum of external stimulation, and we mistake this static for life. We believe the constant flow of information is knowledge, that the endless chatter is connection, that the busyness is purpose. But it is none of these things. It is a defense mechanism, an elaborate, exhausting, and beautifully constructed wall built to keep you from having to be alone with yourself. What are we so afraid of? What monster do we imagine lurks in the quiet moments between breaths? We fear the void. We fear that if we stop the endless stream of distractions, we will be confronted with an unbearable emptiness. Or worse, we will be confronted with the things we have been successfully burying for years. The unprocessed grief, the simmering resentment, the quiet whisper of a dream we abandoned, the uncomfortable truth about a relationship, the nagging feeling that we are living a life that is not our own. The noise is our anesthetic. It keeps the patient, which is our soul, unconscious on the operating table of life. The inner conflict is immense, a silent war waged every single day. There is a deep, primal part of you that yearns for peace, for stillness, for the clarity that only comes from quiet contemplation. It sees a still lake at dawn, or a snow-covered forest, and feels a pang of recognition, a feeling of coming home. Yet, the moment an opportunity for that stillness arises, the addicted mind, the frightened ego, scrambles for its fix. It screams for a screen, for a voice, for anything to fill the terrifying expanse of a single, unoccupied minute. This is the great famine of our time, not a famine of food or resources, but a famine of stillness. We are informationally obese and spiritually starving. Now, turn your gaze back to the Sphinx. Its power does not come from action. It does not rule by decree or conquer with force. Its power is in its presence. Its authority is in its gaze. It is the ultimate witness. It watches the frantic scuttling of tourists, the harsh winds of the desert, the slow crawl of the constellations across the sky, and it is not disturbed. It does not get caught up in the drama. It does not offer an opinion. It simply is, and by being, it holds a space of profound peace and stability. This is the capacity you must now cultivate within yourself. The ability to watch the frantic scuttling of your own thoughts, to feel the harsh winds of your emotions, to observe the slow crawl of your life circumstances without being swept away by them. This is the Sphinx's gaze. It is the silent observer within you, the part of your consciousness that is separate from the thoughts it is thinking and separate from the emotions it is feeling. Your mind is the weather, a chaotic and ever-changing system of storms, sunshine and fog. But you are not the weather, you are the sky, vast, open, and untouched by the clouds that pass through it. The Sphinx's gaze is the awareness of the sky, not the obsession with the clouds. When you can access this inner witness, you discover the source of all real strength. When someone insults you, the mind reacts with anger or shame, but the witness simply observes the feeling of anger arising. Like a storm cloud gathering on the horizon, it does not judge it, it does not become it, it simply watches. And in that space between the stimulus and your identification with the reaction, you find freedom, you find choice. You are no longer a puppet pulled by the strings of your own conditioning or the actions of others. You are the calm, silent presence in the center of the hurricane of your own life. The world will always provide the chaos. Your job is not to stop the storm. Your job is to find the unshakable eye of the storm within you. This is not a passive state. It is a state of supreme, active power. The power to not be ruled by the fleeting dramas of the ego. This is the throne of your inner kingdom. We have been taught to believe that silence is emptiness, a lack, a void. This is the greatest lie the noisy mind has ever told. Silence is not the absence of something. It is the presence of everything. It is the canvas required for a masterpiece to be painted. You cannot see the beauty of the stars without the vast, dark silence of the night sky. You cannot hear the subtle melody of your own intuition over the roar of a crowd. The answers you seek from books, from gurus, from late-night internet searches are already inside you. They are not loud. They do not shout for your attention. They whisper. The universe speaks in whispers. Truth reveals itself in whispers. And you can only hear a whisper when you are profoundly quiet. Silence is the fertile ground. Your thoughts are seeds. If you are constantly churning the soil with noise and distraction, no seed can ever take root and grow into the tree of wisdom. You must allow the ground to settle. You must give it the gift of stillness. So, here is your practice. Your first act of sacred rebellion against the tyranny of noise. Do not call it meditation, if that word feels heavy. Call it an appointment with your soul. Call it a pilgrimage to your inner Sphinx. For just 5 minutes a day, you will do nothing. Find a place where you can be undisturbed. Sit down, set a timer, and then do nothing. Do not try to empty your mind. Do not try to have a spiritual experience. Your only task is to remain still and to breathe. And now, watch. Watch what your mind does. It will likely panic. It will scream for a distraction. It will present you with an urgent to-do list. It will remind you of an embarrassing thing you did 10 years ago. It will itch and fidget and rebel. Do not fight it. Do not engage with it. Simply watch it. Watch the chaos with the calm, detached gaze of the Sphinx. See the restlessness for what it is, the frantic energy of an addict deprived of its drug. This discomfort is not a sign of failure, it is the sign of success. It is the poison leaving your system, it is the fever breaking. Simply sit, simply watch, simply be the silent, spacious sky for the frantic clouds of your mind. 5 minutes, that is all. Give yourself this gift. When you begin to practice this, even for a few moments, the incessant hum of the world starts to lose its power over you. As the internal noise subsides, you begin to notice things you were deaf to before. A subtle shift in your own energy, a feeling in your body, a quiet knowing that arises from a place deeper than thought. And as the frantic static dies down, something else becomes audible. A rhythm, a current, a deep and ancient flow, moving just beneath the surface of your awareness. This is the river of your own life, and in the newfound silence, you can finally begin to hear where it wants to take you. You have learned to sit in the silence of the Sphinx, and you have learned to float on the chaotic, renewing waters of the Nile. You are beginning to trust the process, but trust alone is not enough to navigate this powerful current of life. To move with the river and not be lost in it, you need a rudder. You need an internal compass. This compass is truth. And so, the river of our journey now flows into a great, silent, and sacred chamber, the Hall of Two Truths. This is the mythological courtroom where the ultimate fate of the soul was decided. Imagine it, a vast, pillared hall, impossibly quiet. At its center stand a set of magnificent golden scales. On one platform of the scales, the god Anubis places a heart, still warm, pulsing with the memories of a lifetime. And on the other, Thoth, the scribe of the gods, places a single pure white ostrich feather. This is the feather of Ma'at, the goddess, and the embodiment of cosmic truth, order, harmony, and justice. And the entire universe holds its breath for the verdict. This is not a fable from a distant past. This is a living metaphor for a process that is happening within you at every moment of every day. Your heart is constantly being weighed. What makes a heart heavy? Our modern minds might think of great crimes, of betrayal, of violence, and those certainly add their weight. But for most of us, the crushing heaviness comes from the slow, silent accumulation of 1,000 tiny untruths. They are the small stones we place in our own pockets, day after day, until we can barely walk under their load. Think of the untruth of the word yes. How many times has your mouth formed this word when every cell in your body was screaming no? A commitment you knew you didn't have the energy for, a social event you dreaded, a request that violated your own needs. Each reluctant yes is a stone. You do it to be liked, to be seen as helpful, to avoid conflict. But it is a betrayal of your inner reality, and your heart grows a little heavier. Think of the untruth of your silence. The words of love you swallowed out of fear, the apology you never gave out of pride, the boundary you failed to set, the injustice you witnessed and said nothing, the unique and brilliant idea you kept locked away because you feared ridicule. These unspoken truths don't simply vanish, they curdle inside you. They become a dense, leaden mass in the center of your being. A heart is not meant to be a tomb for unspoken words. It is meant to be a channel for authentic expression. Every time you silence your truth, you add another stone. And then there is the heaviest stone of all, the untruth of the mask. The carefully constructed persona you present to the world. The constant performance of being fine. The exhausting effort of appearing strong when you feel fragile, knowledgeable when you feel confused, happy when you are aching with sorrow. The mask may earn you applause from an audience that doesn't matter, but it suffocates the actor behind it. Carrying this false self through the world requires a staggering amount of life force. It is the weight of 1,000 chains, and the greatest tragedy is that you are both the prisoner and the jailer. In the Egyptian myth, if the heart was found to be heavier than the feather, it was thrown to the monstrous devourer, Amit, and the soul was obliterated, sentenced to a restless eternity. This again is not a threat of damnation. It is a profound psychological insight. A life lived in untruth, a life with a heavy heart, is its own restless eternity. It is the experience of being a ghost in your own life. It is the gnawing feeling of being a fraud. It is the deep exhaustion that has no physical cause. You are being devoured, piece by piece, by the weight of your own inauthenticity. Now, imagine the alternative. What does it mean for a heart to be as light as a feather? It does not mean being a saint or being perfect. It means being whole. It means being integrated. A light heart is one where the inside and the outside match. It is a heart that has practiced the courage of saying no when it is necessary. A heart that has risked speaking its truth with compassion. A heart that has dared to take off the mask and show its real face with all its beautiful imperfections. A light heart has nothing to hide. It is transparent. It has not burdened itself with the weight of grudges, for it understands that resentment is a stone it forces itself to carry. It has not burdened itself with the weight of regret, for it has learned to make amends where possible and to forgive itself where not. This lightness of being is the true gold of the alchemists, the real prize of this entire journey. It is a palpable freedom, an effortlessness in your movement through the world. It is the deep, quiet peace that settles upon you when you no longer have to manage multiple versions of yourself. It is the energy that is liberated when you stop performing. This is the eternity the Egyptians sought. Not an endless duration of time after death, but a timeless quality of presence in this very life. The peace of a heart that is true. You do not have to wait for some final judgment in an underworld courtroom. The weighing of your heart is your daily practice. The scales are present in every choice, every conversation, every interaction. So, let us create our own Hall of Two Truths. Each night, before you sleep, create a quiet space. Become the god Anubis, gently taking your own heart and placing it on the scales. Become Thoth, placing the feather of truth on the other side. And with radical honesty, but also with infinite compassion, ask yourself these questions. Where was my heart heavy today? Where did I say yes when I meant no? What truth did I silence out of fear? What part of my mask was I wearing? Do not judge the answers, simply witness them. Acknowledge the weight. Then ask the second question. Where was my heart light today? Where, even in a small way, was I true to myself? Did I speak a difficult truth? Did I allow myself to be vulnerable? Did I honor my own need for rest? Did I act in alignment with a value I hold dear? Acknowledge this lightness. Feel it. Celebrate it. This is not an exercise in shame. It is an exercise in awareness. The goal is not to achieve a perfect score overnight. The goal is to begin, consciously, to choose lightness. The practice is to remove one small stone from your pocket each day, to say no just once with kindness and firmness, to share one real feeling with someone you trust, to take off the mask for just one conversation. Each act of integrity, no matter how small, lightens the load. It makes your step easier, your breath deeper, and your spirit brighter. To live in alignment with Ma'at, with truth, is the path to power and peace. But it is not always a simple path. The mind, in its desire for safety and comfort, is a master of illusion. It can weave convincing stories, justify any inauthenticity, and rationalize any betrayal of the self. To walk the path of truth, we need more than just the intention. We need clarity. We need wisdom. We need the ability to cut through the ego's fog and discern the true from the false. We need an architect for our inner world who can distinguish between a self-serving lie and a liberating truth. We must now seek the guidance of the one who placed the feather on the scale in the first place. We must go to the master of words, magic, and wisdom itself. We must invoke the mind of Thoth. We have stood in the Hall of Two Truths and committed ourselves to the path of a light heart, a heart aligned with the cosmic principle of Ma'at. We have chosen integrity, but this choice, as noble as it is, immediately presents a profound challenge. To live in truth, we must first be able to recognize it. And the human mind is a labyrinth of illusion, a grand theater of self-deception. Our inner world is shaped, defined, and ultimately created by the stories we tell ourselves. And for so many of us, The storyteller is a tyrant. To find our way, we need a master guide, an architect of thought itself. Our journey takes us now from the open hall of judgment into the quiet, sacred chamber of the divine scribe. We enter the domain of Thoth. Picture a library that contains all the knowledge of the universe, its walls lined with papyrus scrolls detailing the movements of stars, the laws of nature, the histories of souls. In the center sits a figure with the head of a graceful ibis, its long, curved beak poised as if to write, or perhaps to listen. This is Thoth. He is the divine principle of intelligence, the master of language, the keeper of sacred records. It was he who gave humanity the gift of writing, the power to translate the formless chaos of experience into coherent symbols and patterns. He understood the universe's most potent secret, that words are not passive descriptors of reality, words are instruments of creation. And your mind, right now, is a scribe's chamber. You sit at its center, holding the stylus. Every thought you think is a word you are writing down. Every story you tell yourself is a scroll you are creating. And this collection of scrolls becomes the unquestioned scripture of your life. The question is, what have you been writing? For most of us, if we were to listen with unflinching honesty to the scribe in our own head, we would be horrified. We would not hear a wise and benevolent guide. We would hear a relentless, merciless critic, a rogue scribe who has seized control of the chamber and spends all day scrawling graffiti of fear across the sacred walls. Listen, can you hear its voice? It is the voice that whispers, "You are not good enough." It is the voice that says, "You will never change." When you are about to take a risk, it is the one that screams, "Who do you think you are? You are going to fail, and everyone will see you fail." When you make a mistake, it is the one that condemns you without trial, saying, "See, you always mess everything up. You are fundamentally flawed." This inner critic is the most intimate and destructive force in your life. We have become so accustomed to its presence that we mistake its cruel monologue for the voice of reason, for the sober truth. But it is not the truth. It is the inherited voice of past wounds, of parental criticism, of societal conditioning, a ghost in the machine that has been running on a loop for decades. This is the deeper meaning behind the Egyptian concept of Heka, or magic. For them, Heka was not about fantasy or illusion. It was the fundamental creative power of the universe, and it was activated through language. Words were incantations. They understood that to speak a thing is to begin its manifestation. When you repeatedly tell yourself, "I am anxious," you are not merely describing a feeling, you are casting a spell. You are instructing your body to produce the chemistry of anxiety. You are programming your subconscious to scan the world for threats, to find evidence to prove your statement true. When you say, "I am unworthy of love," you cast a spell that makes you blind to the love that is offered and ensures you act in ways that push connection away. Your words are the blueprints you hand to the universe, and the universe, in its infinite and impersonal wisdom, will always build exactly what is on the blueprint. Your life today is the physical temple built from the architectural plans of your past thoughts. If you do not like the temple, you must stop blaming the builders and start rewriting the plans. This is the great work. This is the wisdom of Thoth. You must seize the stylus back from the rogue scribe. You must, with conscious and deliberate effort, become the master of your own inner language. This is not about lying to yourself. It is not about standing in the mirror and chanting affirmations you don't believe, which is like painting over a crumbling wall. This is about deep, structural work. It is about becoming so fiercely committed to the truth of your own inner light that you refuse to tolerate the scribblings of fear any longer. It is about understanding that your attention is the most sacred water in the universe, and whatever you water will grow. For years, you have been watering the weeds of self-doubt. The garden of your mind is overgrown with them. Now, you will begin to consciously plant and water the seeds of your own liberation. You must become a divine scribe for your own soul. Here is your practice. We will call it the art of rescribing the papyrus. It is a discipline of mental and spiritual hygiene, as essential as bathing the body. The practice has 3 steps. The first step is awareness. You must learn to hear the voice of the inner critic as it speaks. At first, this will be difficult, as its voice is like the air you breathe. But with the silence you cultivated with the Sphinx, you can begin to notice it. A thought of self-judgment arises. That was a stupid thing to say. Instead of automatically accepting it, you simply notice it. You hold it up to the light. Ah, there it is. The voice of the critic, the story of my own stupidity. You see it as an object, a mental event, not as an absolute truth. The second step is to challenge its authority, not to fight it, which only gives it more energy, but to calmly question its credentials. You can say internally, "Thank you for your opinion, but your services as the primary narrator of my life are no longer required." You create a space between you, the conscious witness, and the negative thought pattern. You see it for what it is, an old, tired habit, a groove on a record that has been playing for far too long. The third and most powerful step is to rescribe. You consciously and deliberately choose a new sentence, a sentence that is more true, more compassionate, and more empowering. This new sentence must be believable to you. If your mind rejects it, it has no power. So, if the old line was, "I'm so stupid," a bad replacement would be, "I am a supreme genius," as your mind will immediately call it a lie. A wise replacement, a sentence Thoth himself might write, would be, "I am learning, I made a mistake, and I am capable of learning from it." If the old line is, "I will never succeed," you rescribe it with, "I can take the next small step. I will focus on what I can control, and I will be kind to myself, regardless of the outcome." If the old line is, "I am unlovable," you rescribe it with, "I will practice loving myself today. I will be the source of my own acceptance." Each time you do this, you are not just changing a thought, you are recarving a neural pathway in your brain. You are weakening the hold of the tyrannical scribe and strengthening the hand of the wise master. You are practicing true magic. You have now committed to living a life of truth, guided by the lightness of Ma'at's feather. You have now taken up the sacred stylus of Thoth to consciously write a new, more expansive scripture for your soul. You are cleaning the temple of your mind. But even the wisest scribe cannot work in the dark. A room without light, no matter how profound the words being written, produces only illegible scrawls and crooked lines. To truly illuminate your work, to bring your new sacred words to life and give them the energy they need to manifest, you must learn to generate your own light. You must turn your attention to the source of all energy and consciousness in the Egyptian system. You must learn to open the glorious, all-seeing, all-powerful eye of Ra. You must ignite the sun within. You have accepted the scales of Ma'at as your guide to integrity, and you have taken up the stylus of Thoth to become the conscious author of your inner world. You are rewriting the scripture of your soul. But a scribe, no matter how wise, cannot write in a dark room, and a heart, no matter how true, cannot thrive without warmth. We turn now to the source of all light and all energy. We turn our gaze to the sky, to the glorious, life-giving golden disk of the sun. In the Egyptian pantheon, the sun is Ra, the king of the gods, the engine of all creation. But his story is not one of effortless, perpetual brightness. It is a story of incredible courage and daily renewal. Every day, Ra pilots his solar barge across the vast ocean of the sky, bestowing light and life upon the world. But every evening, he must do the unthinkable. He voluntarily sails his ship over the edge of the world and descends into the Duati underworld, the terrifying realm of darkness, chaos, and monsters. There, he battles the forces of dissolution, led by the great serpent of entropy, Apep. And every single morning, having faced and overcome the darkness, he is reborn on the eastern horizon, victorious, bringing a new day. This is not just a myth about the sun. This is the myth of your own consciousness. For many of us, it feels as though our sun has already descended. We live our lives under a perpetual grey sky, in a state of deep and profound energy depletion. It is the feeling of burnout, of apathy, of a deep weariness that no amount of sleep can seem to cure. We feel a dimness within, a lack of vitality, a sense that the pilot of our own solar barge has fallen asleep at the helm. Life becomes a series of motions to get through, rather than an adventure to be lived. In this state of inner twilight, we become desperate for external sources of light. We look for the warmth of praise from others. We seek the temporary brightness of entertainment, of food, of stimulants. We chase the flickering lamps of validation, new purchases, fleeting romances. But these are all borrowed lights. They are like weak candles in a vast, dark cavern. They flicker, they sputter, and when they inevitably go out, the darkness that returns feels even more absolute than before. This state of depletion is not your true nature. It is the direct consequence of a heavy heart and an undisciplined mind. The untruths you carry, the negative stories you scribe, these are the dense clouds that have gathered to obscure your own sun. They are the daily insults to your own life force. Living with a constant inner critic is like trying to run an engine while simultaneously pouring sand into it. Living out of alignment with your own truth is like trying to sail your boat with a dozen heavy, unnecessary anchors dragging along the seabed. You become exhausted, and in this exhaustion, you slip into the mindset of the victim. You feel that the darkness is something happening to you. You wait, passively, for the clouds to part. You hope that someone else will come along with a sun of their own and share their light with you. This is the core of our suffering. Waiting to be energized, waiting to be illuminated, waiting to be saved from our own inner weather. The conflict is between being a passive consumer of light and realizing that you are, and have always been, the power station itself. The great pivot, the turning point of this entire journey, is the realization of this truth. You are not waiting for the sun, you are the sun. More specifically, the focused, conscious attention that you possess is the very Eye of Ra. In the ancient myths, the Eye of Ra was a symbol of awesome power. It was the gaze of the Creator, and whatever it focused upon was infused with the energy of life, order, and manifestation. Your attention is this very same creative force. It is the most powerful currency in the universe. Whatever you consistently place your attention upon, you nourish with your life force. That which you nourish grows. That which you ignore atrophies. Take a moment to absorb the profound implication of this. If your attention, your inner sun, is perpetually focused on your fears, your doubts, your resentments, and your perceived lack, you are shining the life-giving rays of creation directly onto them. You are meticulously cultivating a garden of suffering. You are using the power of a sun god to illuminate and energize your own personal hell, and then wondering why it feels so real and so hot. The path to reclaiming your power is to reclaim your gaze. It is to become the master of your own attention. It is the conscious choice to turn the sun of your awareness away from the weeds and, instead, shine it deliberately upon the seeds you wish to grow. Shine it on gratitude. Shine it on your strengths, even if they feel small. Shine it on the truth of your own resilience. Shine it on the smallest glimmer of hope. This is not about pretending the darkness doesn't exist. Ra knew the underworld was real. This is about choosing not to build your house there. You are the director of your own light. You decide where it shines. Every moment offers a new choice. Will I use my attention to energize my fear, or will I use it to energize my freedom? This is not just a philosophical concept. It is a capacity you can cultivate, an inner fire you can learn to stoke. Let us do so now. Find a comfortable position, uncrossing your legs and arms. Close your eyes and take a deep, cleansing breath. Let it go. Now, bring the focus of your mind, your inner gaze, to the center of your chest, in the area of your heart and solar plexus. And in that center, imagine a single, tiny, warm ember. It may be very small, very faint, and that is perfectly fine. For now, simply acknowledge its existence. Now, begin to breathe into it. With your next inhalation, imagine your breath is pure, life-giving oxygen, fanning this tiny ember. And as you breathe in, see and feel the ember glow just a little brighter, a little warmer. And as you exhale, simply rest in that warmth. Continue this. With every conscious inhale, you are feeding your inner fire. The ember becomes a small, steady flame. Feel its gentle heat beginning to spread in your chest. Breathe in, and the flame grows into a beautiful, contained fire, its light a soft golden orange. Breathe out, and feel the deep sense of peace that this inner warmth provides. Keep breathing, consciously, deliberately. The fire now expands into a brilliant, blazing sphere of golden white light, a miniature sun blazing joyfully in the core of your being. It is powerful but gentle, intensely bright but infinitely comforting. This is your center. This is your source. Now, feel its sacred light radiating outwards. Feel it filling your entire torso, dissolving any knots of tension, any pockets of coldness. On your next exhale, consciously send this light down your arms, all the way to the tips of your fingers. Feel your hands become warm and radiant. On your next exhale, send the light down through your belly, down your legs, filling your feet until they too are glowing with energy. Now, allow the light to rise up, filling your throat, your head, illuminating your entire skull until every cell of your brain is bathed in this pure, conscious light. You are now a being of light. Sit for a moment in this reality. You are not borrowing light. You are not seeking light. You are light. This is your true state. You have now learned to awaken your inner sun, to stoke the fires of your own life force. This light is your birthright. But what is its purpose? It is not merely to feel good, to feel energized. Light has a sacred function. It illuminates. The greatest test of Ra's power was not his triumphant journey across the familiar daytime sky. It was his courageous, necessary descent into the darkness. Your light has been ignited for this same noble purpose. It is the torch that will finally give you the courage and the clarity to do the bravest work of all, to turn voluntarily and face the shadows in your own inner world. To journey into the duat of your own psyche, not as a terrified victim stumbling in the dark, but as a luminous and empowered explorer, ready to reclaim the lost fragments of your own soul. The sun is now risen within you. The journey into the great below can now truly begin. You have stoked the fire within. The sun of your conscious awareness, the radiant eye of Ra, is now glowing steadily in the core of your being. It is a source of immense warmth, energy, and power. But this light was not ignited for a life of simple, easy brightness. It has been kindled for a purpose that is far more profound, far more courageous. Its ultimate function is to serve as your torch, as you voluntarily undertake the same journey Ra himself faced every single night. The journey into the great below, the descent into the duat. You are now equipped to travel into the underworld of your own psyche, to face the shadows you have spent a lifetime avoiding. What is this inner duat? It is not a mythological realm of fire and demons. It is a real place within you. It is the vast, unlit basement of your mind, where you have thrown every part of yourself that you deemed unacceptable, shameful, or inconvenient. Go to the door of that basement now. Listen, can you hear what stirs down there in the dark? It is your rage, the raw, furious power you were told was not nice to express. It is your envy, that sharp, bitter pang you feel when you see another's success, a feeling so shameful you immediately deny its existence, even to yourself. Down there is your profound laziness, your secret desire to do nothing, which wars constantly with your persona as a productive, ambitious person. There is your fear not, the surface-level anxieties, but the deep, existential terror of annihilation that you keep hidden beneath a mask of competence. There is your untamed sexuality, your greed, your pettiness, your capacity for cruelty. These are the exiled citizens of your inner kingdom, the parts of you that were shamed, punished, and rejected into darkness. We call this collection of exiles the shadow. We all begin life as a whole, integrated being. But very early on, the world teaches us that to be loved, to be safe, to belong, we must be good. Being good means we must present only the acceptable parts of ourselves. We are praised for being quiet, compliant, generous, and cheerful. We are corrected, shamed, or punished for being loud, defiant, selfish, or sad. And so we learn to perform a great and tragic act of self-mutilation. We split ourselves in two. We create a persona, a public self, made up of all our approved of qualities. And everything else we cast down into the darkness of the dua. We lock the door and pretend it isn't there. We spend the rest of our lives polishing the mask of our persona, hoping no one ever hears the rattling from the basement. But that which is repressed does not die. It metastasizes. Denied the light of conscious acceptance, these exiled parts of you do not simply vanish. They become distorted. They turn into the inner monsters and demons of our personal mythology, and they have their own kind of power, the power of the saboteur. The rage you have repressed for decades doesn't disappear. It leaks out sideways as chronic sarcasm, passive aggression, or sudden, inexplicable fits of temper that destroy your relationships. The envy you deny turns into a bitter, resentful judgment of others, poisoning your capacity for joy. The deep fear you refuse to acknowledge projects itself onto the world, creating a state of perpetual low-grade anxiety where you see threats everywhere. Your shadow, starved for your attention, will sabotage your best efforts. It will trip you up just as you are about to succeed. It will whisper poisonous suggestions into your ear at your weakest moments. You are not being haunted by some external evil spirit. You are being haunted by the abandoned parts of yourself. The central conflict of a life half-lived is the one between the desire to be good and the soul's deep, undeniable need to be whole. Society applauds goodness, but the universe honors wholeness. To be whole means to embrace the totality of your humanity. It means to acknowledge that you are both the sun and the serpent, the lotus and the mud, the saint and the sinner. The spiritual journey is not about eliminating your shadow. That is impossible, and the attempt will only make it stronger. The journey is about turning, with the torch of your awareness in hand, opening that locked door and walking down into the basement. The goal is not to kill the monsters you find there. The goal is to listen to them, to understand them, to integrate them, to bring them back home into the kingdom of your own heart. For hidden within each of these terrifying shadow figures is a treasure of immense value. Hidden in your rage is your power, your passion, and your ability to set boundaries. Hidden in your fear is your wisdom and your prudence. Hidden in your grief is your capacity for profound love. The gold is in the dark. This is the meaning of Ra's nightly journey. He does not descend into the duat to destroy it. He travels through it, navigating its challenges with his light. And in doing so, he ensures the continuity of creation. Your conscious, non-judgmental awareness is your solar barge. When a feeling of intense jealousy arises, the old pattern is to shove it down into the dark instantly, to condemn yourself for feeling it. This is how the monster is fed. The new way, the way of the inner sun, is to hold that feeling in the light of your awareness. You do not act on it. You do not become it. You simply shine your light on it and say, I see you. I see this feeling of envy within me. I will not condemn it. I will simply observe it. In that moment of pure, loving awareness, the monster begins to lose its power. Its sharp, monstrous features soften. It is no longer a demon to be feared, but a messenger carrying a piece of information. The envy might be telling you that you have neglected your own creative path. The rage might be telling you that a core value has been violated. The shadow, when met with the light of compassion, becomes a guide. Let us make this a tangible practice. It is called shadow journaling, or writing to the duat. Take a notebook that you can keep completely private. This is your sacred space for this work. When you feel a dark, uncomfortable, or unacceptable emotion rising, or when you are simply ready to meet what's in the dark, open your journal. You might start by writing a prompt at the top of the page, like, what am I most ashamed to be feeling right now? Or you can address the shadow directly, dear shadow, what do you need me to know? And then you write. You write without any censorship. You let the ugliest, pettiest, most fearful, most hateful thoughts flow from your pen onto the page. Do not pretty them up. Do not judge them. If you feel murderous rage, write it down. If you feel pathetic self-pity, write it down. If you feel bitter jealousy, give it a voice. Your only job is to be an honest scribe for the underworld. When you are done, you do not rip out the page in shame. You practice the second part of the journey. You become Ra, the compassionate observer. You read back what you have written, not as a confession of your own monstrosity, but as a distress signal from an exiled part of yourself. You look at the rage and ask, What is the unmet need behind this fury? You look at the jealousy and ask, what longing does this feeling point to? You look at the fear and ask, what part of me feels unprotected? You are offering your shadow the one thing it has never been given, your loving, undivided, non-judgmental attention. You are bringing the light into the darkness. This is the bravest work you will ever do. It is the alchemy that turns the lead of your shame into the gold of your wholeness. Each time you do this, you are reclaiming a lost fragment of your soul. You are taking back the power you gave away to the darkness. Your inner kingdom, once divided, begins to reunify. The civil war starts to quiet down. You find yourself less reactive, less judgmental of others, because you have stopped judging yourself so harshly. You become more authentic, more grounded, and paradoxically, more powerful. The journey through the duat is not easy. It can feel disorienting and frightening to face these long-lost parts of yourself. At this crucial threshold, as you begin this work of reclamation, it is natural to feel a need for a guide, for a steady hand that knows the secret paths between the world of light and the world of shadow. And so, as we stand at the entrance to this profound transformation, a presence appears, one who is the master of thresholds, the opener of the ways, the one who will safely guide us through. You stand at the threshold. Before you lies the duat, the twilight landscape of your own inner world, now illuminated by the gentle, steady torch of your awareness. Behind you is the life you knew, the familiar sunlit kingdom of your persona, with its well-defined roads and carefully tended gardens. But you know you cannot go back. To live authentically, you must go forward, into the shadows. And so you take a step, and then another, crossing from the known into the unknown. And here, in this liminal space, a profound and terrifying disorientation begins. This is the most challenging phase of any true transformation. It is the void between two worlds. The old you, the mask you wore, the identity you so carefully constructed, has begun to dissolve. Its certainties are turning to sand, but the new you has not yet formed. You are in a sacred state of suspension. It feels like being shapeless, nameless, without a map or a compass. The rational mind, your trusted guide in the sunlit world, is now utterly useless. It panics in the face of this ambiguity. It scrambles for a plan, a strategy, a familiar landmark, but finds none. All it sees is the vast, uncertain darkness, and it screams for you to retreat. The temptation to run back to the safety of your old prison is immense. It may have been a cage, but at least it was a familiar one. You knew the dimensions of your suffering. This new space, this boundless potential for change, feels far more threatening than the certainty of your old pain. It is in this moment of supreme vulnerability, when you feel most lost and alone, that a presence emerges from the shifting twilight. It moves with a silent grace that is neither threatening nor comforting, but simply is. It is the figure of a god with the head of a desert jackal, lean and elegant, its eyes possessing a wisdom that seems older than the stars. This is Anubis, and the first thing you must understand is that your fear has misidentified him. He is not the god of death. That is a crude, mortal simplification. The jackal is a creature of the in-between. It hunts at dusk and at dawn, thriving in the spaces that are neither day nor night. Anubis is the master of thresholds, the opener of the ways, the divine psychopomp whose sacred duty is to guide souls through moments of profound transition. He does not come to bring an end. He comes to ensure a safe passage. He is the guide you have been praying for, even without knowing his name. Anubis represents a form of intelligence that is completely different from the linear, logical mind of Thoth. Thoth's wisdom is in words, in structure, in sacred geometry. Anubis's wisdom is silent. It is instinctual. It is the deep, non-verbal, cellular knowing that resides in your body, in your gut, far beneath the frantic chatter of your thoughts. It is your intuition. And in the duat, where logic fails and maps are useless, intuition is the only guide that can be trusted. When you feel lost in the fog of change, your rational mind will offer you 1,000 conflicting arguments. It will create elaborate pro and con lists, replay past failures, and project future catastrophes. It is the voice of fear, and it is always loud, frantic, and laced with panic. It shouts. The voice of Anubis, the voice of your intuition, is different. It does not shout. It whispers. It often doesn't even use words. It is a feeling. It is a quiet, steady pull in a certain direction. It is a subtle sense of peace that settles over you when you contemplate one path, and a feeling of deep, churning resistance when you contemplate another. It is the sudden, inexplicable certainty that you must call a certain person, or quit a certain job, or walk away from a certain relationship, even when it makes no logical sense whatsoever. The mind of fear presents arguments. The mind of intuition presents a knowing. Learning to distinguish between the two is perhaps the most critical skill in the art of living a soul-led life. The voice of fear will always lead you back to the cage of the familiar. The voice of Anubis will always lead you deeper into the freedom of your own becoming. In the ancient rites, Anubis was the one who presided over the weighing of the heart. He was the guardian of the scales, the one who could see the true weight of a soul's integrity. This means your intuition is inextricably linked to your truth. When you are living in alignment with Ma'at, with your own inner truth, your intuition becomes clear and strong. When you are living a life of self-betrayal, the voice of your intuition becomes faint, drowned out by the noisy static of a heavy heart. To hear the guidance of Anubis, you must first commit to the path of authenticity. So here you stand, at the crossroads in the dark, with the ghost of your past self pulling you back and the terrifying void of the future pulling you forward. You have ignited the light of your awareness. You have met your shadow with compassion. Now you must learn to be guided. This is the practice of trusting your inner Anubis. When you face a choice, big or small, and the mind begins its frantic dance of anxiety, you must learn to pause. You must create a space for the whisper to be heard. Find your stillness. Take your hand and place it on your heart or on your gut, wherever you feel your center to be. Close your eyes. Take 3 slow, deep breaths, and with each exhale, intentionally release the frantic energy of the analytical mind. Let the noise settle. Then, in the silence, ask your question. Do not ask, "What should I do?" That is a question for the logical mind. Ask instead, "What is the way?" or "Which path feels true?" Present each option to your quieted self. Imagine walking down the first path. What is the immediate, visceral sensation in your body? Is there a feeling of lightness, expansion, relief, or a quiet rightness? That is the gentle nod of Anubis. Now, imagine walking down the second path. Does your stomach tighten? Does your chest feel constricted? Is there a sense of dread, of heaviness, of inner resistance? That is the subtle but firm pressure of his hand, warning you away. Do not look for a booming voice or a logical explanation. Trust the feeling. The body knows. Your soul speaks through the language of somatic resonance. Trusting this guidance is an act of supreme courage. It will often lead you to make choices that the world, and even the logical part of your own mind, cannot understand. It may lead you to leave a perfectly good job, to end a long-term partnership, to move across the country with no concrete plan. From the outside, it may look like madness, but on the inside, it feels like coming home. Anubis's guidance does not promise a life free of difficulty. The path he opens may be steep and rocky, but it will be your path. Every step will feel true, and you will know, with a certainty that defies explanation, that you are walking in the direction of your own soul. He is the guardian who ensures that as you let go of the old, you are guided safely to the shore of the new. He holds the silver thread that will lead you through the labyrinth of your own transformation. He has now opened the way. And to walk through it, we must be willing to let go of the final structures of our old reality and, like a humble desert creature, learn the art of creating life from what appears to be nothing. Anubis has opened the way. With your intuition as your guide, you have stepped across the threshold, away from the ghost of your past self and into a space of pure potential. But this space, at first, feels like a barren wasteland. The old structures of your identity have crumbled. The familiar landscape has dissolved. You are standing at ground zero of your own life. and the prevailing feeling is often one of devastation, followed by a profound and paralyzing inertia. What now? The mind asks, surveying the rubble. Where do I even begin to rebuild from this? You feel stuck, depleted, convinced that you lack the proper materials, the energy, or the divine blueprint to begin again. You find yourself waiting for inspiration to strike, waiting for the pain to subside, waiting for a sign from the universe. This state of paralysis is one of the most subtle traps on the spiritual path. It is the belief that transformation is something that happens to you, a lightning bolt from the heavens that will magically rearrange the pieces of your life. It is the quiet assumption that you are too broken, too tired, or too tainted by your past failures to initiate your own rebirth. The inner conflict is immense. There is a deep, primal scream within your soul, an urge to become, to evolve, to create. But it is muffled by the heavy, wet blanket of inertia, by the voice of the old scribe whispering, "Don't bother, you'll only fail again. This is just who you are. You are stuck." And so you remain, sitting in the dust of your former life, waiting for a god to descend. But the wisdom of the desert teaches us that sometimes the most powerful god is not the one who descends from the sky, but the one who rises from the earth, covered in dust, performing the humblest of tasks. We must now learn the wisdom of the scarab beetle. In the Egyptian pantheon, the principle of spontaneous creation, of self-generation, was embodied by a god named Khepri, whose form was that of a common dung beetle. This was not an accident or a primitive quirk. It was a piece of profound psychological and spiritual genius. Consider the life of this humble creature. It seeks out the most profane material imaginable, the dung, the waste, the excrement of other, larger beings. It does not run from this filth. It does not see it as something to be ashamed of or buried. It recognizes it as raw material. With tireless, relentless effort, it gathers this waste and, with its legs, begins to shape it into a perfect sphere, a globe that often becomes larger than its own body. Then, it begins the arduous task of rolling this sphere across the hot desert sands. To an outside observer, it looks like a pointless, absurd struggle. But something miraculous is happening. This ball of dung is the beetle's sustenance. And even more magically, it is the incubator where the beetle lays its eggs. From the literal waste of the past, from that which has been discarded and left to rot, Khepri, the self-creator, brings forth both nourishment and new life. This is the alchemy you are now called to practice. The name Khepri means he who comes into being. He is the divine principle of becoming, the power of spontaneous creation that requires no external permission and no pristine materials. Look back at the rubble of your own life. Look at your past failures, your mistakes, your deepest regrets, your most painful heartbreaks, your shame. You have been treating this material like waste. You have been trying to bury it, to run from it, to pretend it doesn't exist. Khepri teaches a different way. He teaches you to turn and face your own dung. He teaches you that this pile of your own history is not a monument to your failure. It is your greatest resource. It is the raw, fertile material for your own rebirth. Within every mistake is the potent seed of a lesson in wisdom. Within every heartbreak is the potential for a new depth of compassion. Within every moment of shame is the opportunity to practice radical self-acceptance. You have been waiting for the universe to give you what you need to start over, without realizing that you are sitting on a treasure trove of it. You do not need to be cleansed before you can begin. You must use the dirt. You must use the waste. You have everything you need. But how? The scarab beetle does not manifest new life in a single glorious flash of light. Its magic is in its method, small, consistent, relentless motion. It simply keeps rolling its ball. This is the great secret that shatters the paralysis of inertia. You must stop focusing on the overwhelming, abstract goal of changing your whole life. That is a ball too large to even begin rolling. You must instead define your own small, manageable sphere of intention, and then you must simply begin to roll it. Today, now. This is the practice. Look at the life you wish to create. Now, break it down into its smallest possible component, its most humble action. What is the one tiny thing you could do today that moves you, even by a single millimeter, in that direction? If you want to be a writer, your ball is not write a novel. Your ball is write one true sentence. If you want to be healthy, your ball is not lose 50 pounds. Your ball is drink one extra glass of water today or walk for 5 minutes. If you want to find inner peace, your ball is not achieve enlightenment. It is sit in silence and consciously take 3 breaths. Choose your ball. Make it so small, so non-threatening, that the voice of your inner critic scoffs at its insignificance. And then, with the quiet, determined grit of the scarab, roll it. The next day, you roll it again. And the next. You do not wait to feel inspired. You do not consult your moods. You do not require a sign from the heavens. You simply perform the small, sacred act. You keep your promise to yourself. This is the physics of Khepri. We have been taught to believe that inspiration leads to action. But the truth is the reverse. Action leads to inspiration. Movement creates energy. The simple act of rolling your tiny ball begins to generate its own momentum. The friction creates a spark. Keeping one small promise to yourself builds a foundation of self-trust, which gives you the confidence to choose a slightly larger ball tomorrow. You are no longer waiting to be acted upon by the universe. You are becoming an active force within it. You are no longer the victim of your past. You are the alchemist, transforming it into your future. You are Khepri, coming into being through your own relentless, sacred effort. You are the self-creator. You are the one who rolls the sun across the sky of your own life. You have learned that the power to begin again resides not in some distant future or divine intervention, but in your own hands, in your own willingness to work with the material of your life as it is, right now. As you continue this practice, rolling your sphere of intention day after relentless day, you begin to build something new. You are no longer sitting in the rubble. You are now a creator, an architect, and you realize that this new life, this new self that is emerging from your efforts, needs a place to stand. It cannot be built on the shifting sands of whim and circumstance. It requires a foundation that is stable, deliberate, powerful, and consciously aligned with the great laws of the universe. A foundation built to last for eternity. You are now ready to survey the sacred ground and lay the first great cornerstone of your inner pyramid. With the tireless, creative spirit of Khepri, you have begun to move. You have taken the discarded waste of your past and transformed it into the raw material of your future. You are rolling your sphere of intention, generating your own momentum, coming into being through your own sacred effort. But as you continue this act of creation, a vital question arises. Upon what ground are you building this new life? A magnificent creation placed upon shifting sand is destined to collapse. The most beautiful intentions, without a solid place to stand, will be washed away by the first storm. Our journey now takes us from the dynamic movement of the Creator to the profound stillness of the creation. We move from the work of the beetle to the wisdom of the pyramid builders. We must learn to build on unshakable ground. For most of your life, you have unknowingly built your sense of self upon the most unstable ground imaginable, the shifting sands of the external world. You built your house upon the sand of other people's approval. Your worth rose and fell with every compliment or criticism. You became a chameleon, changing your colors to please whoever you were with, your ears constantly straining for the sound of applause. This is a life of exhausting performance, haunted by the perpetual fear of being judged, of having the approval withdrawn, leaving you exposed and worthless. You built your house upon the sand of material success. Your identity became fused with your job title, the balance in your bank account, the possessions you accumulated. This creates a life of quiet desperation, a frantic scramble to acquire more, underpinned by the terrifying knowledge that it can all be lost in an instant market crash, a layoff, a natural disaster, and with it, your very sense of who you are. You may have even built your house on the sand of another person, making their love and presence the entire foundation of your world. This is not love. It is a recipe for codependency, creating a life shadowed by the constant, gut-wrenching fear of abandonment. These houses built on sand can look beautiful from the outside. They are decorated with success, popularity, and romance, but inside there is no peace. There is only the chronic, low-grade anxiety that comes from knowing, in your bones, that your foundation is not secure. You live at the mercy of the wind and the tides. A stray comment can feel like a hurricane. A minor financial setback can feel like an earthquake. The withdrawal of affection can feel like a tsunami that threatens to obliterate your entire world. Is it any wonder you have felt so fragile, so reactive, so perpetually insecure? Your foundation was designed to fail. Now, turn your gaze to the Great Pyramids of Giza. They have stood for over 4,500 years. They have endured winds, wars, the rise and fall of countless empires, and the relentless passage of time. Their secret is not just in their iconic shape, but in what is unseen, their foundation. The ancient builders were masters of stability. They spent enormous effort leveling the bedrock, quarrying massive granite blocks, and aligning their creation with the unshakable certainty of the stars. They did not build on sand, they built on eternity. You must now become such a builder. You must stop building flimsy shacks on the shoreline of public opinion and begin the sacred work of laying the foundation for your own inner pyramid. What is this unshakable bedrock of the soul? It is not a belief. It is not an emotion. It is not a person or a possession. The bedrock of your inner world is your chosen set of core values. Values are not morals imposed upon you by society. They are not aspirational goals like being happy. Values are the internal, non-negotiable principles of your being. They are the what for that drives every what. They are the answer to the question, what truly matters to me, beyond all else? Think of words like integrity, freedom, courage, compassion, creativity, wisdom, connection, peace. These are not things you acquire, they are qualities you choose to embody. They are the granite blocks of your character. This is the source of true, unshakable security. When your life is built upon a foundation of your own chosen values, your sense of self becomes independent of external circumstances. If your core value is integrity, you can lose your job, but you cannot lose your integrity unless you choose to. If your core value is compassion, another person can leave you, but they cannot take away your capacity to be compassionate. If your core value is creativity, critics can pan your work, but they cannot destroy the creative fire within you. When you are anchored to your values, the storms of the external world can rage, but the foundation of your inner pyramid will not move. You cease to be a house on the sand and become a mountain. So let us begin the work of a master builder. The first step is excavation. You must discover and name your cornerstones. Take out your journal. This is a sacred inquiry. Ask yourself these questions and write down whatever comes. What were the moments in your life when you felt most alive, most proud, most truly yourself? What quality were you embodying in those moments? Next, what brings you a sense of righteous anger or deep sorrow when you see it in the world? What injustice makes your blood boil? Beneath that anger is a value that is being violated. Name it. Who do you admire most in the world, living or dead? What specific qualities do you admire in them? Those qualities are mirrors, reflecting a value that resonates deep within you. From this excavation, begin to distill. Look for the recurring themes. Circle the words that make your heart leap, the ones that feel like home. Your task is to choose the 3 to 5 words that represent your most essential principles. There are no right or wrong answers. This is your unique soul signature. Perhaps your cornerstones are courage, kindness, and freedom. Or perhaps they are wisdom, creativity, peace, and integrity. Name them. Write them down on a piece of paper and put it where you can see it every day. These are your North Stars. These are your granite blocks. Now comes the second part of the practice. You must use them. Your values are not meant to be decorative. They are your primary tool for construction, your divine plumb line. From now on, before making any significant decision, you will hold it up against your foundation. You will ask, does this choice, this action, this job, this relationship align with my core value of integrity? Will this decision expand my freedom or constrict it? Is this response an expression of my commitment to compassion? The answer will often be a simple, clear, intuitive yes or no. This practice cuts through confusion like a laser. It simplifies the most complex dilemmas. If an action is out of alignment with your core values, you do not do it. You are a builder, and you do not use faulty materials. To do so would be to intentionally create a weakness in your own sacred structure. You are no longer a desperate builder of sandcastles, hoping the tide will not come in. You are a master mason, a student of the eternal. You have cleared the ground. You have named your cornerstones. You are now laying a foundation of such profound integrity and strength that it will support any structure you choose to build upon it for the rest of your life. A monument to your own soul is beginning to take shape, and now that this unshakable foundation is in place, the next great task of construction can begin. We must raise the walls. We must define the sacred space, protect it from invasion, and declare what may enter and what must remain outside. We must learn the art of setting sacred boundaries. You are standing on solid ground. The bedrock of your core values lies beneath your feet, an unshakable foundation aligned with the truth of your soul. For the first time, perhaps ever, you feel the profound stability that comes from being anchored in what truly matters. From this foundation, we can now begin to build upwards. We will raise the walls of our inner sanctuary. Think of the great temples of Karnak or Luxor. What makes them sacred? It is not merely the prayers uttered within them or the gods they honor. It is the very fact of their existence as a defined space. Their massive walls and towering pylons create a clear, unambiguous demarcation between the chaotic, profane world outside and the ordered, holy world within. A temple without walls is just a patch of empty ground. It is the walls that create the sanctuary, and so it is with you. You must now become the architect of your own sacred enclosure. You must build your temple walls. For most of your life, you have been living as a temple without walls. You have been a house with no doors and no windows, open to every passerby, every stray opinion, every emotional storm. Your sense of self has been a public park where anyone could wander in, set up camp, leave their rubbish, and depart at will, leaving you to clean up the mess. This boundaryless existence is the source of the deepest exhaustion a human being can experience. It is the life of the people-pleaser, the empath who has not learned to protect their own energy. It is a life spent constantly pouring from your own cup to fill the cups of others, never realizing that your own is running dry. The result is a chronic, soul-deep fatigue, a persistent feeling of being drained, invaded, and overextended. A quiet resentment simmers just beneath the surface of your smile because you are giving away what you do not have a surplus of: your time, your energy, and the precious finite resource of your life force. This state is born from a single, deeply ingrained, and catastrophic misunderstanding. We have been taught that our value lies in our utility to others. We have been conditioned to believe that saying yes makes us good, kind, and lovable, while saying no makes us selfish, difficult, and unworthy of connection. This is the great inner conflict, the desperate, conditioned need to please others versus the soul's primal, non-negotiable need for self-preservation. We fear that if we erect a wall, we will be locked away in isolation. We fear that if we say no to the demands of the world, we will be abandoned by it. And so, we leave our sacred ground undefended. We allow our energy to be siphoned off, our time to be consumed by other people's agendas, and our inner peace to be shattered by external chaos. We must now reframe this entirely. The boundaries you are about to build are not hostile fortifications designed to isolate you. They are the loving, self-honoring walls of your personal temple. Their purpose is not to keep love out. It is to create a sacred container where your own self-love can finally flourish. These walls serve two divine functions. First, they keep out that which does not belong in your holy space: the unsolicited advice, the draining gossip, the emotional manipulation of others, the demands that are not aligned with your values. Second, and just as important, they keep in that which is most precious. They contain your energy. They protect your peace. They hold a safe space for your creativity to blossom. They allow your life force, what the Egyptians called sekemto, accumulate and grow, rather than leaking out in 1,000 different directions. Setting a boundary is therefore one of the most profound acts of self-respect you can perform. It is a declaration to the universe and to yourself that your inner world matters. It is you, as the high priest or priestess of your own life, saying, "This ground is holy, my peace is not negotiable, my energy is my treasure, and I am its sole guardian." How then do we build these walls? The first practice is an honest energy audit. You cannot protect your resources until you know where they are being plundered. For the next week, become a vigilant observer. Pay close attention to how you feel after every interaction, every activity, every commitment. Who and what leaves you feeling energized, expansive, and more yourself? And who and what leaves you feeling drained, resentful, small, or compromised? Be brutally honest. It might be a particular friend, a family member, a type of conversation, or even a commitment you thought you should enjoy. This audit is your architectural survey. It shows you exactly where the walls need to be built. The second practice is the mastery of the sacred no. We must reclaim this word from the prison of guilt. A no is not a rejection of a person. It is an honoring of your own capacity. It is a simple statement of fact. You are a finite being with a finite amount of energy. Your no is a recognition of this reality. You must practice it. Start small. The next time you are asked to do something you do not have the energy or desire for, pause, take a breath. Resist the immediate, conditioned impulse to say, yes. Then, with kindness and with clarity, speak your truth. You do not need to offer a long, elaborate excuse. Excuses are just weak spots in the wall. A simple, honest statement is a block of solid granite. Thank you for thinking of me, but I am not able to do that right now. I appreciate the invitation, but I need to use my time for rest. That doesn't work for me, but I wish you the best with it. Be prepared. When you first begin to build your walls, some people will not like it. The people who were benefiting most from your lack of boundaries will likely push back. They may try to make you feel guilty. They may call you selfish. They may express their disappointment. It is crucial that you see this for what it is, not as a sign that you are wrong, but as a test of your resolve. Their reaction is simply them bumping up against your new wall and discovering that the public park is now a private temple. Those who truly love and respect you will, after a period of adjustment, honor your new structure. Those who do not are revealing that their connection to you was based on what they could extract from you. Your new wall has just done you the great service of revealing this truth. As your walls become stronger, something miraculous happens. The constant, low-grade hum of anxiety begins to fade. The chronic exhaustion starts to lift. You wake up in the morning and realize that your energy belongs to you. You are the sovereign of your own inner kingdom. You have the time and the space to hear your own thoughts, to feel your own feelings, to pursue your own joy. You have created a sanctuary, a peaceful, well-defended inner world where your soul can finally be at rest. The leaks have been sealed. Your life force, your precious secum, is no longer draining away. It is now held, contained, and beginning to accumulate within the sacred vessel you have built. And this raises the next beautiful question. Now that this powerful energy is contained, how do we intentionally cultivate it? How do we not only protect our well, but learn to fill it to overflowing? We must now learn to draw from the eternal wellspring of life itself. We must learn the secret of the Ankh. The walls of your inner temple now stand strong. You have learned to say the sacred no to the world, so you can say a profound yes to yourself. Within this newly protected sanctuary, your energy, your precious secum, is no longer leaking out. It is contained. For the first time, you may be feeling a sense of peace, a quiet hum of power that is yours and yours alone. The question that naturally arises is, what now? It is not enough to simply stop the leaks. We must now learn how to fill the well. We must become active cultivators of our own vitality. Our journey takes us to the very heart of the temple, to the inner spring, and to the key that unlocks it. The most famous and potent of all Egyptian symbols, the Ankh. Look at this symbol. We see it everywhere as jewelry, as a decorative motif, but we have forgotten its power as a living diagram for a vibrant life. The looped top is a cosmic womb, the circle of eternity from which all life emerges. The vertical staff is the extension of will into the world, the spine of being. The horizontal bar is the horizon of experience. It is the perfect union of spirit and matter, heaven and earth, masculine and feminine, all balanced in a state of dynamic, creative flow. The Ankh is the hieroglyph for life itself. Not just life as a biological fact, but life as a palpable, radiant energy, a force you can feel, cultivate, and increase within your own being. You are, right now, a living Ankh. And the quality of your life depends entirely on what you use to nourish it. We live in an age of profound spiritual drought. We call it burnout. It is the feeling of being a dry riverbed, of having your life force stretched so thin it becomes transparent. It is a deep psychic dehydration. We constantly expend our energy through stress, worry, overstimulation, and the relentless demands of modern life. We are spending from an account that we do not know how to replenish. We then try to solve this inner drought with external solutions. We pour coffee into our bodies for energy. We scroll through social media for a hit of connection. We consume sensationalist news for a jolt of stimulation. This is like trying to quench a profound thirst by drinking salt water. It only makes the dehydration worse. It only adds to the deficit. You cannot solve an internal energy crisis with external energy. You must learn to draw from your own wellspring. The Ankh is the key to this wellspring. It teaches us to see ourselves as a living system that requires constant, conscious nourishment. This nourishment comes through 4 primary channels, the 4 great fountains that feed the river of your life. To replenish your energy, you must conduct a fearless and honest audit of these 4 fountains. The first fountain is the most obvious, the nourishment of your body. Your body is your earthly temple. What are you using to build its walls? Is the food you eat alive and vibrant, filled with the energy of the sun and the earth? Or is it processed, dead, and heavy, forcing your body to expend more energy digesting it than it receives in return? This is not about judgment or restrictive diets. It is a simple inquiry. When you eat, does it feel like an act of self-love, of gratitude for your physical form? Or is it a mindless, unconscious act of filling a void? Begin to choose foods that feel life-affirming. Notice how your energy shifts. You are the sole provider for the temple of your body. Choose your offerings with care. The second fountain is the nourishment of your mind. Your mind is a hungry entity, constantly consuming information. What is the quality of its diet? Are you feeding it a steady stream of fear-based news, cynical commentary, and the endless, agitating chaos of social media feeds? This is the mental equivalent of junk food. It creates anxiety, depletes your focus, and pollutes your inner atmosphere. Or are you consciously choosing to feed your mind with things that uplift and expand it? An inspiring book, a piece of knowledge that fascinates you, the beautiful complexity of classical music, or, most powerfully, the deep nourishment of silence. What you allow into your mind becomes the fabric of your thoughts. A mind fed on fear will produce a fearful world. A mind fed on beauty and wisdom will produce a world of the same. You are the guardian at the gate of your mind. You have the absolute right to deny entry to that which depletes you. The third fountain is the nourishment of your heart. This is the energy you receive from your relationships and interactions. Who are the people you allow into the inner courtyard of your temple? Do they honor the sacred space? Do your interactions leave you feeling seen, supported, and energized? Or do they leave you feeling drained, unheard, or diminished? A nourishing relationship is reciprocal. It is a balanced exchange of energy where both parties leave feeling fuller than when they arrived. A draining relationship is a leak, a place where your sekhem is constantly being siphoned away. Conduct your audit with compassion, but with clarity. You must choose to invest your precious time and energy in the connections that feed your soul and lovingly distance yourself from those that starve it. The fourth fountain is the nourishment of your spirit. This is the most subtle and most vital nourishment of all. What connects you to the part of yourself that is timeless and eternal? What reminds you that you are more than just your personality and your problems? For some, It is time spent in nature, feeling the vast, silent wisdom of the trees and the mountains. For others, it is the act of creating, painting, writing, making music, losing yourself in the flow of inspiration. It might be prayer, a formal meditation practice, or simply the act of looking up at the night sky in wonder. It is whatever dissolves the ego and connects you to the great mystery. And the most immediate, accessible, and powerful form of spiritual nourishment is available to you in every single moment of your life. It is your breath. The ancient word for breath is the same as the word for spirit. To breathe consciously is to feed your spirit directly. Let us practice this now. This is how you turn the key of the Ankh. Wherever you are, simply pause. Straighten your spine gently. Close your eyes if it is comfortable. Now, exhale completely, pushing all the old, stale air out of your lungs. When you feel empty, begin to inhale slowly and deeply through your nose. But this is not just air you are breathing. Imagine you are drawing in a stream of pure, golden, liquid light from the universe all around you. This is pure Sekhem, pure life force. Feel it filling your lungs, your chest, your entire body, right to the tips of your fingers and toes. At the top of your breath, hold it for just a moment, feeling yourself full, charged, and vibrant. Then, just as slowly, exhale through your mouth, and as you do, release everything that is tired, everything that is heavy, everything that is depleted. Let it all flow out of you as a grey mist. Pause at the bottom, in the stillness. Then, repeat. Inhale the golden light of life. Exhale the grey mist of exhaustion. Do this just 3 times, and notice the shift. You have just consciously refilled your well. You are not a victim of your energy levels. You are their creator. By consciously auditing what you consume through your body, mind, heart, and spirit, you shift from living in a constant energy deficit to cultivating a vibrant energy surplus. You are no longer a dry riverbed. You are becoming a flowing, generative source. This surplus of life force is the foundation for all deep healing. You cannot mend a broken bone without calcium. You cannot fight an infection without a strong immune system. And you cannot heal your emotional wounds from an empty cup. Now that you are learning to fill your cup, to make it overflow with vibrant, sacred energy, you finally have the strength, the resilience, and the profound compassion needed to perform the most sacred act of magic. You are ready to gather the broken, scattered fragments of your heart and, with love, make yourself whole again. You are ready to learn the magic of Isis. You stand within your sacred temple. The walls are strong, the foundation is firm, and the well of your life force is beginning to fill. There is peace here, a sense of safety you have perhaps never known. And in this safe, protected, and nourished space, you can finally turn your attention to the state of the temple itself. You can begin to notice the cracked columns, the faded frescoes, the shattered statuettes, the lingering damage from past invasions and old earthquakes. These are your wounds, the heartbreaking betrayals, the profound losses, the sharp-edged traumas that fractured your sense of self and the world. For years, you have tried to ignore them, to decorate around them, to pretend they weren't there. But the temple cannot be truly whole until these broken relics are tended to with love. We carry our brokenness like a secret shame. A part of us believes that what has been shattered can never be whole again. We feel like a precious vase dropped on a stone floor, its pieces scattered so widely that the task of gathering them seems impossible. So we learn to live as a collection of fragments, held together by sheer will. We build our lives around the empty spaces, haunted by the ghost of our own lost wholeness. We tell ourselves that this is just how life is, but the deepest wisdom of the Egyptian mysteries tells a different story. It is a story of a love so powerful it can conquer death and dismemberment. It is the story of Isis and her beloved Osiris. Osiris was the good king, the embodiment of a world in perfect harmony. He was murdered by his jealous brother Set, who represents the sudden, violent intrusion of chaos, betrayal, and trauma into our lives. Set hacked the body of Osiris into 14 pieces and scattered them throughout the land of Egypt. This is what trauma does. It dismembers our psyche. It scatters our sense of safety, our trust, our innocence, across the landscape of our own history. The world, once a benevolent kingdom, becomes a threatening and fragmented place. At this point, the story could have ended in despair, but it does not, because of Isis. Isis, the wife of Osiris, the Queen of Heaven, the embodiment of divine, unconditional love, does not surrender to her grief. Instead, she transforms it into a sacred mission. She refuses to accept that what is broken must remain broken. With unwavering devotion, she sets out on an epic quest. She travels to every corner of the land, through dangerous swamps and desolate deserts, searching tirelessly for every last piece of her beloved. This is the archetype of the divine healer. Her magic is not a flashy, instantaneous trick. It is the magic of patience, of fierce devotion, of a love so total that it refuses to abandon even the smallest fragment. She is the part of our own consciousness that vows to reclaim our own wholeness. One by one, she finds the scattered pieces and gathers them with loving hands. And when she has all 14, she performs her greatest act of magic. She painstakingly pieces her beloved back together. She remembers him, literally putting his members back together. And then she breathes the breath of life back into his body, resurrecting him into a new form, as the wise and compassionate king of the underworld. This is the most powerful story of healing ever told. And its secret is this: you are not just the shattered Osiris, you are also the divine, magical Isis. Within you, right now, lies the power to search for the lost pieces of your own soul and, with love, make yourself whole again. You must stop waiting for a savior. The healer you have been waiting for is you. The magic you have been seeking is your own compassion. Your healing journey is this sacred quest. You must become your own Isis. You must decide that your wholeness is a non-negotiable priority. This means you must be willing to travel back to the sites of your old wounds, not to relive the trauma, but to find the fragment of your soul that you left behind there. The light of Ra that you have cultivated is your torch. The guidance of Anubis is your map. The strength of your sacred walls gives you the safety to make the journey. You must now go back for your lost pieces. You must find the frightened inner child that felt abandoned, the trusting heart that was betrayed, the innocent part of you that experienced a loss so profound it shattered your world. They are still there, waiting in the darkness for their queen to find them. This is the practice of divine magic, the alchemy of self-compassion. It begins with the gathering. Allow a memory of a past wound to gently surface. Do not force it. Simply create the space for it to be seen. Now, instead of turning away in fear or pain, you turn towards it with the devotion of Isis. You are not here to judge or analyze. You are here to retrieve something precious. See that younger version of yourself, that fragmented part of your soul, and extend your hand. The second part is the remembering. This is the act of applying the healing balm of unconditional love. The most powerful incantation in the universe is the language of true compassion. Place a hand over your heart. Feel its warmth. This is your magic wand. Now, speak to that wounded fragment of yourself, either silently in your mind or whispered aloud. Speak the words that it has been waiting a lifetime to hear. I am here with you now. I see you. What happened was not your fault. You were so young. You did the best you could with what you knew. I am so sorry you had to go through that. You are safe now. I will never abandon you again. I love you. I will protect you. As you speak these words, feel them. Let the truth of them wash over that old pain. This is you, breathing life back into the broken pieces. This is you, making yourself whole. And what of the one who hurt you? The final piece of this magic is forgiveness. But forgiveness has been misunderstood. It is not about condoning another's harmful actions. It is not about letting them off the hook. Forgiveness is an act of radical and glorious self-interest. Holding on to resentment, hatred, and bitterness is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned. It drains your life force. It pollutes your sacred temple. It keeps you chained to the very person and event you wish to be free from. Forgiveness is the act of opening your hand and dropping the coal. You do it not because they deserve it, but because you deserve to be free. You drop the coal so that your own hands are finally free to finish the sacred work of healing your own heart. The heart that has been broken and mended by the magic of self-love is not the same as a heart that has never known a crack. It is not weaker, it is infinitely stronger. It is like the Japanese art of kintsugi, where broken pottery is repaired with seams of liquid gold. The cracks are not hidden, they are illuminated. They become the most beautiful part of the object, a testament to its history, a map of its resilience. Your heart, mended with the gold of your own compassion, becomes a masterpiece. The cracks are where the light gets in and where your light gets out to heal others. As you patiently engage in this sacred work, piecing yourself back together with love, your perspective begins to change. You are no longer trapped in the small, painful drama of your personal history. Your vision clears. You begin to see your life not just as a series of random, painful events, but as something with a deeper pattern, a hidden language. You start to notice that the universe itself has been trying to communicate with you all along, through symbols, through synchronicity, through the very fabric of your daily life. You are ready to stop just living your story and learn how to read it. You are ready to decipher the hieroglyphs of your own existence. With the golden light of your own compassion, you have performed the magic of Isis. You have patiently gathered the scattered fragments of your heart and have begun the sacred work of making yourself whole. The inner temple is no longer a site of ruins, but a place of healing and reverence. And as this profound inner peace settles upon you, a subtle but miraculous change begins to occur. The lens of your perception, once clouded by the dust of past traumas and the fog of unhealed pain, begins to clear. And as you look out at the world through these new, clear eyes, you realize that the world itself is starting to look different. It seems brighter, more vibrant, more alive. You begin to wonder, was it always this way? And the answer is yes. You were just unable to see it. You are now ready to graduate from being the subject of your life story to becoming its reader. You are ready to learn the language of the gods. We have been conditioned to see the universe as a mute, unfeeling machine, a collection of atoms and particles governed by cold, random chance. In this view, a coincidence is merely a statistical anomaly. A dream is just random neural firing. An encounter with a stranger is meaningless. This worldview, which we are told is rational and intelligent, has left us profoundly lonely. It has made us feel like ghosts in a vast, indifferent mechanism, tiny specks of consciousness in an otherwise dead cosmos. We yearn for meaning, for connection, for a sign that we are part of something larger, but our rational mind tells us that such yearning is childish. The ancient Egyptians lived in a different reality. For them, the world was not a machine. It was a living, breathing text. The universe was intelligent, alive, and constantly communicating, and its language was the language of symbols. They called their sacred writing Meduneter, which translates as the words of the gods. This is the key. A hieroglyph was not just a picture representing a sound, it was a symbol that contained a universe of meaning. The image of a scarab beetle was not just a beetle, it was the entire cosmic principle of self-creation. The symbol of a feather was not just a feather, it was the very essence of truth and lightness. The world was a grand papyrus scroll, and every event, every creature, every natural phenomenon was a hieroglyph, a divine word written by the hand of the universe itself. This is the perception you are now invited to reclaim. What if your life is not a random sequence of events? What if it is a sacred text, written in a symbolic language, meant specifically for you to read? What if the universe is, and has always been, speaking to you? It does not speak in your human tongue. It speaks in the language of symbols, synchronicity, and intuition. Synchronicity is the term for a meaningful coincidence. It is the universe underlining a passage in your life's text for emphasis. It is the song that comes on the radio at the exact moment you are pondering a question, and the lyrics answer it with breathtaking precision. It is the book that inexplicably falls off a shelf at your feet, opening to a page that speaks directly to your soul's dilemma. It is the conversation you overhear between strangers that contains the exact piece of advice you needed to hear. The rational mind dismisses these events as chance. The soul, your inner Isis, recognizes them as a wink from the divine. It is a sign that you are seen, you are heard, and you are being guided. The universe also speaks in the language of symbols, often drawn from the natural world. These are the living hieroglyphs of your daily life. An eagle soaring overhead may appear just as you are contemplating a decision that requires courage and a higher perspective. A snake shedding its skin may cross your path at a time when you are being called to let go of an old identity. You may start seeing a particular number sequence everywhere, a specific animal, a recurring shape in the clouds. These are not meaningless occurrences. They are symbols being placed on your path. Your job is not to look up their meaning in a dictionary, but to consult your own inner oracle. How does the symbol make you feel? What does an eagle mean to you? What is your personal relationship with the idea of transformation represented by the snake? The symbol is the prompt. Your inner response is the meaning. And how do you translate this language? How do you know if a coincidence is meaningful or just a coincidence? The translator is the faculty you have already awakened within you. It is the silent, knowing voice of Anubis. It is your intuition. Intuition is the faculty that recognizes the pattern, that feels the resonance. It is the sudden inner aha, the feeling of goosebumps, the quiet, certain thought, "Oh, this means something." Your rational mind can't prove it. It can't be quantified or put into a spreadsheet, but your soul knows. This is a dialogue between the soul of the universe and your own soul. The mind is just the secretary, tasked with writing it down. This leads to your next practice. You will become a scribe of signs. You will begin to keep a synchronicity journal. This is your personal book of the dead, which should rightly be called the book of coming forth by day. It is the record of your soul's dialogue with the world. In this notebook, you will record the signs. When a meaningful coincidence happens, write it down. Note the date, the time, the external event. But most importantly, record your internal state. What were you thinking about, worrying about, or asking for in the moment just before the sign appeared? The connection between your inner state and the outer event is where the meaning is found. Then, at the bottom of the entry, ask the sacred question, if this were a message from a wise, benevolent, and loving universe, what is it trying to show me? And then write the answer that comes to you, without judgment, without analysis. Write the intuitive hit. When you begin this practice, you are retraining your brain and your soul. You are teaching your senses to look not for proof of a dead, random world, but for evidence of a living, intelligent one. At first, it may feel strange, but soon you will find what you are looking for. The more you look for meaning, the more meaning you will find. The universe, delighted that you are finally listening, will begin to speak more clearly. The dialogue becomes more frequent, more profound. Life transforms from a monologue of your own anxious thoughts into a thrilling and beautiful conversation. You are no longer alone in a silent cosmos. You are an active participant in a symphony of meaning. Living this way changes everything. You walk through the world with a sense of wonder and curiosity. Every day is a treasure hunt. Every encounter is a potential oracle. You are no longer just a victim of circumstance, but an explorer, a reader of sacred texts, a decipherer of divine codes. And as you become more fluent in reading these individual hieroglyphs, these single words and sentences from the universe, you inevitably begin to perceive something deeper. You begin to see the grammar. You start to understand the underlying laws that govern how and why these symbols appear. You are beginning to grasp the great, elegant, and impersonal mechanics of creation itself. You are ready to understand the law of cause and effect, the cosmic principle of balance that the Egyptians called Ma'at. You are becoming fluent in a new language. As you walk through the temple of your life, you are no longer blind to the inscriptions on its walls. You are learning to read the hieroglyphs of existence, the meaningful coincidences, the symbolic encounters, the intuitive nudges that reveal a universe that is alive, intelligent, and in constant communication with you. But reading the individual words is only the beginning. To truly understand any text, you must grasp its grammar, the underlying structure that governs how the words fit together. You are ready to perceive the great overarching law of the cosmos. Our journey now leads us to the very engine room of creation, to the elegant, impersonal, and utterly perfect principle that the Egyptians called Ma'at, and that other traditions have called karma. Before we proceed, we must strip this word, karma, of all the fear and superstition that has been layered upon it. We have been taught to think of it as a cosmic system of reward and punishment, run by a divine bookkeeper who tallies our good and bad deeds. This view turns the universe into a courtroom and God into a judging parent, inspiring fear, guilt, and a constant effort to be good enough to earn a reward. This is a profound misunderstanding. Ma'at is not a moral law. It is a physical law of the spiritual universe, as neutral, impersonal, and predictable as the law of gravity. Gravity does not punish you for stepping off a cliff. It simply responds to the cause you have initiated. Ma'at works in precisely the same way. It is the universe's elegant and unbreakable contract with itself. As within, so without. As above, so below. What you send out is what you will receive. It is not a judgment, it is a mirror. For most of your life, you have lived as a victim of this law, precisely because you did not understand it. When negative events occurred, you felt blindsided, cursed by bad luck, targeted by a cruel fate. You asked, "Why is this happening to me?" This is the cry of someone who believes they are a passive effect, a target of external forces. You did not realize that the arrow that struck you was one you yourself had fired, in a direction you did not see, at a time you did not remember. You saw the world as the cause, and yourself as the effect. The Great Awakening is the complete reversal of this perception. You are not the effect, you are the causal point of your personal universe. Look at your life as a great hall of echoes. Your every thought, your every word, your every sustained emotional state is a sound you are making. A thought of resentment is a sharp, discordant note you send out. A feeling of genuine gratitude is a beautiful, resonant chord. The law of Ma'at simply states that the whole will faithfully echo back to you the exact quality of the sound you produce. If you shout insults, the echo that returns will be an insult. If you sing a song of love, the echo will be one of love. The whole does not judge the sound. It does not decide what to send back. It simply reflects. For years, you may have been shouting in anger and then blaming the whole for the angry echoes that surround you. The journey to mastery is to stop blaming the echoes and to start paying attention to the sounds you are making. What are these sounds? They are not just your actions. Your actions are merely the final, physical expression of a much deeper cause. The true cause, the seed of your reality, is your inner state. It is your dominant vibration, your energetic signature. It is the sum total of your most cherished beliefs, your habitual thoughts, and your most frequently felt emotions. This inner state is your true prayer. You can repeat positive affirmations all day, but if your underlying feeling state is one of desperation and lack, then desperation and lack is the prayer you are truly sending, and it is the reality the universe will faithfully reflect back to you. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. This is not a concept to be feared. This is the key to your absolute liberation. If the circumstances of your life are a perfect mirror of your inner state, then this means you are not a prisoner of your circumstances. It means that to change your life, you do not need to struggle and fight with the reflections in the mirror. How absurd would that be, to see a frown on your face in the mirror and then try to physically force the reflection to smile? Yet this is how we live our lives, trying to manipulate the external world, fighting with the echoes, arguing with the reflection. The work is never on the reflection. The work is always, only, on the face that is being reflected. The work is within. If you want to see a smile in the mirror of your life, you must be the one who smiles first. If you want to hear an echo of peace, you must be the source of that peaceful sound. This is the ultimate acceptance of responsibility. But responsibility is not blame. Blame is heavy, a stone of the past. Responsibility is power, the creative force of the present moment. It is the exhilarating realization that you hold the seed of any reality you wish to experience. To blame the world for your suffering is to give your power away. To see your suffering as a reflection of a cause within you is to reclaim that power entirely. So, how do we practice this law consciously? The first step is to become a wise gardener of your inner world. You must start examining the seeds you are planting. Before you speak, before you act, begin to ask yourself a new question. What is the energetic root of this? Am I about to say this or do this from a place of fear, scarcity, and contraction, or from a place of love, trust, and expansion? This simple, silent inquiry begins to change everything. You start to catch yourself before you plant the seeds of discord. You choose, consciously, to plant the seeds of harmony instead. The second step is to become a curious diagnostician of the effects in your life. When a challenging situation appears, an argument with a loved one, a financial problem, a health issue, resist the powerful, conditioned urge to immediately blame an external cause. Instead, retreat into your inner temple and ask with genuine, non-judgmental curiosity. This is an interesting echo. What sound in me could have called this forth? This is a clear reflection. What part of my own face is this showing me? Again, this is not an act of self-flagellation, it is an act of supreme self-awareness. You are looking for the root cause, not to punish yourself, but to heal yourself. By understanding the cause, you are empowered to change it. You can't heal a garden by cursing the weeds. You have to find the roots and gently pull them out. You are the creative center of your reality. The great impersonal law of Ma'at is not a force working against you. It is the most powerful tool you have been given. It ensures that your inner work will always, without fail, bear fruit in your outer world. As you clean and purify your inner temple, your outer life will begin to reflect that newfound beauty and order. As you heal your heart, you will see healing reflected in your relationships. As you cultivate a state of inner abundance and trust, the universe will mirror that abundance back to you in unexpected and delightful ways. You understand the law. You are no longer its victim, but its conscious collaborator. Now that you know the rules of creation, you must learn to direct your creative power with skill and focus. You must learn to take up the divine instrument of intention. You must learn to wield the scepter of your own will. You now understand the great and elegant law of the universe. You see that your life is a perfect mirror, a faithful echo of your inner state of being. You have moved from seeing yourself as a victim of circumstance to understanding yourself as the causal center of your world. This knowledge is the key to the kingdom, but knowledge alone is not power. The map is not the territory. You must now learn to use this knowledge. You must move from being a student of the law to becoming a sovereign who wields it. Our journey now takes us from the library of universal mechanics into the throne room of your own consciousness. Here, in the center of your inner temple, is a seat of power that has long been vacant, and leaning against it, waiting for you, is the royal scepter. In the hands of the Egyptian gods and pharaohs, you will always see a long staff, topped with the head of a divine animal. This is the Was scepter. It is the symbol of power, authority, and dominion. But we are not concerned with dominion over others. The power that this scepter represents is the only power that truly matters. Dominion over the self. It is the symbol of a focused, disciplined, and unwavering will. For too long, you have left the throne of your life empty. You have abdicated your power. You have lived in the wishy-washy, passive land of, "I hope so. Maybe one day, I'll try." You have been a drifter, waiting for the winds of fate or the feelings of inspiration to push you in a direction. And so your inner kingdom has been in disarray. Your thoughts, emotions, and habits, like unruly subjects without a firm and loving ruler, have run rampant, creating chaos and contradiction. You have mistaken this passivity for going with the flow. But a ship with no captain is not flowing. It is adrift, destined for the rocks. The time for drifting is over. It is time to take your seat upon the throne and take up the scepter of your will. What is this will? It is not brute force, aggression, or the stubbornness of a clenched fist. Divine will is the soul's capacity to focus its energy like a laser beam. Your consciousness is pure light. When it is diffused and scattered, like the light from a bare bulb, it is weak. It illuminates everything weakly and changes nothing. This is the state of wishing and hoping. The will is the lens. It is the faculty within you that can gather all of that scattered light of your consciousness and focus it into a single, coherent, powerful point of intention. And this focused intention has the power to cut through any obstacle, to transform any reality, to create worlds. To wield this scepter is to learn the art of the true decision. The very word decide comes from Latin roots meaning to cut off. When you make a true decision, you are not merely choosing one path. You are decisively cutting off all other possibilities. You are collapsing the infinite field of maybes into the singular reality of it is so. You are making a royal decree within your own kingdom. When you truly decide to be healthy, you cut off the possibility of poisoning your body. When you truly decide to be peaceful, you cut off the possibility of indulging in resentful thoughts. There is a clean, sharp, powerful finality to a true decision. It is the sound of the scepter striking the floor of the throne room, signaling that the decree has been made and is now the law of the land. This brings us to the highest use of the will, the most potent form of magic. It is the law of assumption. Having understood that your inner state creates your outer reality, you can now use your will to consciously choose your inner state, regardless of external circumstances. You do not wield your will to manipulate the outside world. You wield your will to discipline and direct your inner world. This is how it works. You first decide what reality you choose to experience. Then, with your scepter of will, you decree that you will now enter the feeling state of that reality as if it were already a physical fact. You do not hope for abundance while feeling lack. You make the sovereign decision to embody the state of abundance now. You close your eyes and feel the relief, the gratitude, the security of that reality in your body. You do not wish for love while feeling lonely. You decide to enter the state of being loved, feeling the warmth, the acceptance, the wholeness of it in your heart right now. This is what it means to live in the end. You are providing the universe with a new, clear and powerful blueprint. You are no longer sending out the sound of longing. You are sending out the sound of fulfillment. And the Hall of Echoes has no choice but to reflect that new sound back to you. But this power, this royal muscle of the will, has likely grown weak from disuse. It must be trained. It must be strengthened through daily practice, just like any other muscle. We will start with small, simple exercises to restore its tone and power. The first practice is the power of completion. For 1 week, make a vow to finish everything you start, no matter how small. If you take a glass out, you wash it and put it away. If you open a book to read a chapter, you finish the chapter. If you start to write an email, you finish it and send it. Each tiny act of completion sends a powerful message to your subconscious mind. I am someone who follows through. My intentions are not idle wishes. They are commands that lead to action. You are rebuilding your reputation with yourself as a reliable and effective sovereign. The second, more powerful practice is the 30-day decree. Choose one small, positive habit that you know will serve you, one that you have been putting off. Now, stand before your inner throne, take up your scepter, and make a royal decree. For the next 30 days, without exception, without excuse, it is the law of this kingdom that I will meditate for 5 minutes each morning, walk for 10 minutes each day, write 1 page in my journal. So it is decreed, so it shall be. The power is not in the intensity of the act, but in the unwavering integrity of your commitment. In these 30 days, your old, lazy, rebellious inner subjects will test you. They will give you 1,000 excellent reasons why you can skip a day. They will tempt you with distraction and overwhelm you with fatigue. Every time you feel that resistance and you choose to honor your decree anyway, you are forging your scepter in fire. Your will becomes stronger, sharper, more potent. You are teaching every cell in your body that when you speak, it is law. You are building a foundation of unshakable self-trust and personal power. You are no longer the passive, drifting subject of your life. You are its ruler. You understand the laws of your kingdom, and you are now taking up the scepter of your will to consciously and deliberately shape your reality. You are moving from a state of hoping and wishing to a state of being and decreeing. But a decree made only in the mind, a vision seen only on the throne, is still a thing of spirit, of the sky. To become truly real, it must be made manifest in the world of matter, on the earth. The ultimate act of creation, the final piece of the great work, is to unify the boundless vision of the heavens with the tangible reality of the earth within your very own being. It is time to learn the alchemy of Horus, the divine child in whom heaven and earth become one. You have claimed your power. You have taken a seat on the throne of your own consciousness and have learned to wield the scepter of your will. With focused intention, you are decreeing a new reality into being, aligning your inner state with the life you choose to live. This is the power of the sky, the boundless realm of spirit, vision, and pure potential. But a decree made only in the heavens is just a whisper on the wind. For it to have power, for it to become real, it must be anchored in the rich, fertile soil of the material world. It must be brought down to earth. The great work of spiritual mastery is not about escaping the earth to live in the sky. It is about becoming a bridge between the two. It is about learning the sacred alchemy of Horus. Who is Horus? In the grand mythos of Egypt, Horus is the divine child, the son born from the union of a resurrected Osiris and the magical Isis. Think of what this means. His father, Osiris, represents the underworld, matter, the body, the lessons learned through suffering and death. His mother, Isis, represents the heavens, magic, spirit, the power of divine love and will. Horus is not one or the other. He is the perfect synthesis of both. He is what is born when we have healed our past and claimed our spiritual power. He is the rightful heir to the kingdom of the integrated self, and his story holds the key to resolving one of the most profound conflicts of the human journey, the great schism between heaven and earth. Most of us live our lives torn between these two poles. We fall into one of two traps. The first is the sky trap. This is the ungrounded spiritual seeker. You may know this person. Perhaps you have been this person. They love the concepts, the ideas, the feelings of spiritual expansion. They can talk for hours about energy, consciousness, and alternate dimensions. They meditate, they visualize, they journal. But their physical life on Earth is often in chaos. Their finances are a mess. Their living space is cluttered. Their physical health is neglected. Their human relationships are fraught with drama. They possess a magnificent vision, a connection to the sky, but they are unable to bring that vision down into tangible reality. They are all light, with no vessel to contain it. They are all sky, no earth. The second is the earth trap. This is the person who is deeply mired in the material world, who has lost all connection to the sky. They are practical, efficient, perhaps even very successful by worldly standards. They manage their money, their career, their schedule with precision, but their inner life is a desert. They feel a deep, gnawing sense of meaninglessness. Their life lacks magic, wonder, joy, and any sense of a higher purpose. They feel trapped in a mundane cycle of working, consuming, and sleeping. They are a solid, empty vessel with no light to fill it. They are all earth, no sky. We are a world of dreamers who cannot act, and actors who have forgotten how to dream. The wisdom of Horus teaches us that this is a false choice. You are not meant to be one or the other. Your destiny is to be both. The most potent symbol of Horus's integrated nature is his two eyes. One eye was said to be the sun, the eye of Ra. It sees with the light of pure consciousness, spirit, intention, and infinite possibility. This is the sky sight. His other eye was the moon, often associated with Thoth. It sees the world of form, manifestation, the subconscious, the cycles of life and death on Earth. This is the Earth sight. To be a whole and powerful creator, you must learn to see with both eyes open simultaneously. You must become a mystical pragmatist, a grounded visionary. Your sacred task is not to transcend the world, but to transform it by infusing matter with spirit. You are here to anchor heaven on earth, and the place where they meet is within you. How do we practice this sacred alchemy? It is a two-way process. First, you must learn to bring the sky down to earth. This means taking your highest spiritual insights, your most profound meditative experiences, your noblest intentions, and grounding them in immediate, physical, and sometimes mundane action. You have just finished a meditation where you felt a deep sense of universal love. Wonderful. Now, bring that sky energy to earth. Pick up the phone and call a friend you haven't spoken to in a while. Wash the dishes for your partner. That is love in action. You have a vision for a creative project? Excellent. Now, bring it to earth. Sit down and write one sentence. Sketch one line. Make one phone call. Take the vast, formless energy of the sky and pour it into the smallest earthly container you can find. This prevents you from remaining a spiritual dreamer and turns you into a spiritual creator. The second part of the alchemy is to bring the earth up to the sky. This is the practice of infusing your most mundane, earthly tasks with sacred conscious awareness. You must go about your daily life, but you no longer do it as a sleeping automaton. You do it as Horus, with both eyes open. When you are washing your hands, don't just rush through it. Feel the sensation of the warm water on your skin. See the beauty of the soap bubbles. Treat the simple act as a ritual of purification. When you are eating your lunch, don't scroll on your phone. Taste your food. Acknowledge the sun, the soil, the rain, and the labor that brought it to your plate. You are transmuting a biological necessity into an act of communion. By bringing your full, loving presence, your sky consciousness to your earthly tasks, you sanctify them. You erase the line between the sacred and the profane. Your entire life becomes your spiritual practice. The most direct way to anchor the sky to the earth is through the physical practice of grounding. After any period of intense spiritual work, meditation, deep journaling, emotional healing, your energy can be very high, very spacey. You must consciously anchor it back into your body and into the earth. Close your eyes. Imagine thick, strong roots growing from the soles of your feet, burrowing deep, deep into the cool, dark, stable heart of the planet. Feel its solid, supportive energy rising up into your body, making you feel strong and steady. Then, go and do something physical. Touch the earth with your bare hands or feet. Eat a piece of fruit. Drink a glass of water, feeling it go down into your stomach. These simple acts are profoundly important. They tell your energy system, we are here, we are safe, we are in a body on this earth. It makes your spiritual power usable, practical, and real. This is the great alchemical marriage within. You are no longer fragmented. You are no longer the ungrounded mystic or the soulless materialist. You are Horus, the crowned and conquering sun, the lord of two horizons. You see with the clarity of the sun and you stand with the stability of the earth. Your feet are firmly planted in the world of form, while your head communes with the world of spirit. And from this place of profound balance and integration, you gain access to a new kind of perspective. You are no longer entangled in the drama of the weeds on the ground, nor are you lost in the clouds. You can now rise above it all, like the sacred falcon, and see the entire landscape of your life with a clear and liberated vision. You are now a being of profound balance. Your feet are planted firmly on the earth, drawing strength and stability from the material world. Your head is in the clear sky, receiving wisdom and vision from the realm of spirit. You have become the divine child, Horus, the living bridge between what is above and what is below. And from this newly integrated platform of being, a new capacity becomes available to you. You are no longer bound to the earth, nor are you lost in the sky. You are now ready to fly. Our journey now takes us from the sacred ground of the temple, soaring high into the limitless blue sky on the wings of the divine falcon. Despite our newfound power and integration, we remain human, and the default state of the human mind is to be entangled. Like a creature walking through a dense forest, we spend our days caught in the undergrowth of petty concerns. Look at the landscape of your own mind on an average day. It is a thicket of small anxieties, a tangle of repetitive worries. You get ensnared in the thorns of a past resentment, replaying an argument over and over again. You get stuck in the mud of a future fear, projecting 1,000 negative outcomes for a situation that has not yet occurred. Your attention is snagged by office politics, by a perceived slight from a friend, by the frustrating drama of traffic. Each of these small entanglements pulls you down, consumes your energy, and obscures your vision. You are so focused on the tangled weeds at your feet that you forget the sun exists. This is the playground of the ego. The small, fearful, constructed self thrives on this drama. It loves to be right. It loves to have a problem to solve, a grievance to nurse, a worry to obsess over. It creates a narrative where you are the besieged hero, battling against a world of inconveniences and injustices. This small story is addictive. It provides a constant stream of adrenaline and self-importance. The inner conflict is between the ego's love for this entanglement and the soul's deep, soaring desire for freedom. Your soul does not care who was right in that argument. It does not care about the minor annoyances of your day. It yearns to be released from the thicket, to rise above the canopy and remember the vastness of which it is a part. In the iconography of the gods, there is one symbol that perfectly embodies this freedom and perspective: the falcon. Horus himself is depicted with the head of a falcon. Ra, the sun god, often takes this form. The falcon is the king of the sky. From its soaring height, its perspective is total. It sees the entire landscape, the river, the desert, the mountains, the cities all at once. It possesses a legendary eyesight, capable of seeing both the grand overview and the tiniest detail on the ground with breathtaking clarity. It flies above the petty squabbles of the creatures below. It does not get entangled in the territorial disputes of field mice or the frantic struggles of lizards. It sees them, it understands them, but it is not of them. Its home is the boundless expanse. This falcon consciousness is not a gift reserved for gods and birds of prey. It is a faculty that lies dormant within you. You have the innate ability to mentally and spiritually detach from the tangled undergrowth of your own mind and ascend to a higher vantage point. You can learn to look at your own life with the calm, clear, all-seeing eyes of the falcon. From this altitude, the entire landscape of your life changes. The problems that seemed like impassable mountains when you were standing at their base are revealed to be small, manageable hills. The tangled thicket of your worries is seen for what it is: a tiny patch of forest in a vast and beautiful world. This is not about invalidating your feelings or dismissing your problems as unimportant. It is about placing them in their true context. It is about refusing to give a small problem a large space in your mind. How do you learn to fly? How do you activate this falcon consciousness at will? The first practice is an immediate shift in scale. We will call it the inquiry of horizons. When you find yourself caught in the grip of a powerful anxiety or a burning resentment, stop, take a breath, and ask your mind a simple question: will this matter in 5 years? Be honest. The argument you are having with your partner, will it truly matter in 5 years? The work deadline that is causing you so much stress, will you even remember it in 1 year? The rude comment from a stranger, will it have any significance whatsoever in 1 month or even 1 week? This question is a powerful updraft. It instantly lifts your perspective from the suffocating immediacy of the problem and places it on a wider timeline. 99% of the time, the answer is a resounding no. And in that no, the power of the problem deflates. The grip of the ego loosens. You have created space. You have begun to soar. The second practice is to invoke the wisdom of your eternal self. Your ego, your personality, believes that this current life is the only one. This gives every event a desperate life or death importance. Your soul knows better. Your soul is the falcon that has seen countless landscapes, that has flown through the skies of countless lifetimes. When you are feeling entangled, close your eyes. Place a hand on your heart and ask, how would the highest, wisest, most ancient part of me view this situation? Invite the perspective of your eternal self, the part of you that is connected to all wisdom, that is fearless, timeless, and whole. Do not try to figure out the answer with your mind. Just ask the question and listen. Often, the response is a feeling rather than words, a feeling of profound calm, of deep peace, a silent knowing that this too shall pass, that this is but a single scene in an epic play. You are looking at your life through the eyes of your own inner God. The final practice is the most expansive. It is the visualization of the cosmic zoom out. When you are feeling trapped and overwhelmed by your personal drama, find a quiet moment. See yourself sitting in your room. Now, as if you are a camera, zoom out, See your entire house. Zoom out further. See your street, your neighborhood, your city, a complex web of lights and lives. Zoom out further still, until you see your country as a shape on a continent. Keep going. See the beautiful swirling blue and white marble of planet Earth, hanging in the silent velvet blackness of space. Feel its preciousness, its aliveness. Zoom out further. See the solar system, with the Earth now a tiny speck orbiting a star. Zoom out until you see the spiraling arms of the Milky Way galaxy, a collection of 400 billion suns, with your sun being just one of them. Go further, until the galaxy itself is just one point of light in a sea of countless other galaxies. Pause here. Float in this silent cosmic immensity. From this vantage point, from this ultimate falcon's view, look back at your initial problem. Look back at the worry, the resentment, the fear. See it for what it is, a microscopic flicker of energy on a tiny speck of dust in an ocean of unimaginable vastness. Again, the point is not to shame yourself. The point is to liberate yourself. Your problem is still real, but it is no longer your whole world. You have placed it in its proper perspective. You are free. This is your freedom, the freedom of the falcon. It is the ability to engage with your life without being entangled by it. You can descend when you need to deal with the details on the ground, but you always know that you have the power to ascend back into the clear, open sky of a higher perspective. And from this soaring, liberated height, as you gaze upon the whole landscape of existence, you begin to perceive something new. You see that the world is not just a collection of separate, disconnected things. You see the invisible patterns, the luminous threads of energy that flow between all things, connecting the river to the mountain, the mouse to the man, your heart to the heart of the universe. You are now seeing the very fabric of creation itself. You are perceiving the subtle, all-pervasive presence of the space that connects everything. From the soaring height of the falcon, your perspective has been irrevocably altered. You have learned to rise above the tangled thicket of your ego's concerns and see the grand, sweeping landscape of your life. But from this high vantage point, you begin to notice something more. You see not just the individual trees, but the forest. You see not just the separate houses, but the way the roads connect them into a town. Your gaze shifts from the objects themselves to the space between the objects, and you perceive for the first time the intricate, invisible patterns that link everything together. You are now ready to dissolve the final and most fundamental illusion of the human mind, the illusion that you are separate. This feeling of separation is the deepest wound of the human condition. It is the primary function of the ego to create a boundary around a small portion of the universe and call it me. This me is defined not by what it is, but by what it is not. I am me because I am not you. I am me because I am not the chair I am sitting on, not the air I am breathing, not the world outside my window. This creates a prison of the self. We feel like a lonely, isolated consciousness trapped inside a body, looking out at a universe that is fundamentally other. This perceived separation is the root of all our loneliness, our feelings of alienation, and our fearful competitive striving. We are lonely islands, shouting across an empty ocean, yearning for connection, while fundamentally believing we are alone. The ancient Egyptians had a story that holds the key to healing this wound. It is the story of the god Shu. In the beginning, there was only the union of Geb, the god of the earth, and his consort Nut, the goddess of the sky. They were locked in a tight, inseparable embrace. To create a space for life to exist, their father, the great creator god, commanded their son Shu to stand between them. Shu, who is the god of the air, placed his feet on the earth of Geb and raised his arms to lift the starry body of Nut into the heavens. On the surface, it seems that Shu's purpose is to separate. He creates the space between the earth and the sky. But this is the great paradox, the sacred wisdom of the in-between. The very air that separates the earth and sky is also the one thing that connects them. The atmosphere touches them both. It is the medium through which the light of the sky reaches the earth. It is the medium of wind and rain. It is the medium of breath. It is the space that separates, yet the substance that unites. Shu is the divine principle of the space between things. And the great secret is that this space is not empty. It is not a void. It is a living, intelligent, and vibrant field of energy that connects everything. The space between you and the wall is not nothing. It is teeming with life, with air, with potential. The silence between musical notes is not an absence of music. It is the very thing that gives the notes their beauty and meaning. Your senses are designed to perceive the things, the objects, the solids. They are not designed to perceive the space that connects the things. And so, you have spent your life believing in the reality of the objects and the emptiness of the space. You have believed in the islands and ignored the ocean that connects them all. Let us bring this down from myth into your direct felt experience right now. The most profound evidence of your connection to all things is the act you are performing in this very moment. Breathing. Consider your breath. The air you are drawing into your lungs right now. Where was it a moment ago? It was outside. It was part of a cloud. It was kissing the leaf of a tree. That tree, in its own mysterious alchemy, exhaled the very oxygen that you are now taking in as your own life force. And when you exhale, you release the carbon dioxide that will become the sustenance for that same tree. You are not separate from the tree. You are in a constant, intimate, life-sustaining dance with it. The air you are breathing was once in the lungs of your ancestors. It has traveled the globe. It has been part of every living creature. With every single breath, you are dissolving the illusion of your separateness. You are taking the entire world into your body, and you are giving your body back to the entire world. The boundary of your skin is a permeable membrane, not a sealed fortress. This interconnectedness is woven into the fabric of all life. In a forest, the roots of the trees are connected by a vast, intelligent network of fungus, a wood-wide web that allows them to share nutrients and information. The bee that takes pollen from one flower and carries it to another is the sacred marriage priest of the plant world. Every part of the ecosystem is inextricably linked to every other part. And you are a part of that ecosystem. You are not just living on the earth. You are an expression of the earth. You are the planet itself, grown aware and able to contemplate its own existence. The practice, then, is to move this from an intellectual concept to a lived, felt reality. It is the practice of the connecting breath. Find your quiet center. Begin by simply noticing your breath, as you have before. Feel the air entering your nostrils, filling your lungs, and then leaving your body. Stay with this personal, intimate sensation for a few moments. Now, begin to expand your awareness. Become conscious of the air in the room around you. Feel it on your skin. Perceive it not as emptiness, but as a subtle, living substance. Realize that this substance that is outside you is the very same substance that is inside you. With your next inhalation, feel yourself drawing the room into your lungs. With your exhalation, feel yourself breathing out into the room, merging with it. The boundary between you and the room begins to soften. Now, expand your awareness further. Imagine the entire atmosphere of the planet, a vast, swirling ocean of air. And your breathing is a tide in that ocean. As you inhale, feel yourself drawing energy from this entire planetary system. You are breathing with every other person, every other animal, every other living thing on this globe. Feel their presence in your own breath. As you exhale, feel yourself releasing your own unique energy back into this shared field as a gift to all of existence. Feel the profound and simple truth of it. You are not alone. You have never been alone. You cannot be alone. Your very life is an act of perpetual communion. The feeling of being an isolated island begins to dissolve, replaced by the deep, comforting, and liberating feeling of being a wave in a single, magnificent ocean of being. When the wave awakens to the fact that it is, and has always been, the ocean, everything changes. The fear of death dissolves, for a wave cannot die. It can only change its form and merge back into its source. The ache of loneliness vanishes, replaced by a sense of profound belonging. You are not a stranger here. This universe is your home. You are not a flawed, separate fragment. You are the whole, pretending to be a part for the sheer joy and adventure of the experience. This realization, this felt experience of oneness, is the very heart of spiritual awakening. And when this happens, the sacred lotus flower, which has been growing patiently in the dark, fertile mud of your subconscious journey, finally reaches the surface. It is ready to open its petals and bloom in the full light of cosmic consciousness. You are floating in a shoreless ocean of being. The illusion of your separateness has dissolved in the waters of a profound, felt connection with all that is. You are the breath of Shu, the space that unites everything. You are the wave that has finally remembered it is the ocean. And in this state of serene oneness, something that has been growing in the depths of your consciousness for this entire journey is now ready to complete its destiny. Deep within the fertile mud of your healed past, a single, perfect bud has been rising. It has traveled up through the waters of your emotional body, and it now rests on the surface, touched by the golden light of the sun within. The sacred lotus is about to bloom. For so long, you have been a spiritual seeker. You have sought awakening or enlightenment as if it were a distant peak to be conquered, a prize to be won at the end of a long and arduous race. You have treated your own liberation as a future event, a destination you would arrive at if you just meditated hard enough, if you just healed enough wounds, if you just understood the right concepts. This very act of seeking, as well-intentioned as it is, has been the primary obstacle. It creates a subtle but powerful tension, a constant state of not there yet. The striving for a future state of peace is the very thing that prevents you from finding peace in this present moment. The ego, even a spiritual ego, loves a grand quest. But the soul does not need to search for itself. It only needs to be realized. The wisdom of the lotus flower reveals the true nature of this unfolding. The sacred blue lotus of the Nile, which the Egyptians associated with the god Nefertem and the very birth of creation, does not grow in a sterile, pristine environment. Its life begins in the dark, messy, unglamorous mud at the bottom of the river. This mud is your duat. It is your shadow, your past traumas, your wounds, your failures. For years you may have seen this mud as something dirty, something to be escaped. But the lotus knows better. It sinks its roots deep into the mud and draws from it the rich, fertile nourishment that is essential for its growth. Your journey into the darkness was not a detour from your awakening. It was the absolute prerequisite for it. Without your mud, there can be no lotus. From the mud, the slender stem begins its journey upward, rising through the water. The water represents your emotional body, the flow of your life's experiences, the currents of joy and sorrow. The stem does not fight the water. It does not curse the currents. It remains flexible, allowing itself to be moved, yet its intention is unwavering. It moves always toward the light. This has been your journey of healing, of learning to flow with what is, of navigating your inner world with grace and resilience. And then the bud reaches the surface. It floats on the skin of the water, bathed in the warm, life-giving rays of the sun's light of Ra, the light of your own pure consciousness. And here, the final miracle occurs. And the miracle is that there is no effort. The lotus does not struggle to bloom. It does not strain or force its petals open. When the time is right, when the conditions have been met, it simply opens. It unfolds, petal by perfect petal, in an act of effortless, graceful, and inevitable surrender. It reveals the golden sun at its heart. This is the nature of awakening. It is not a victory to be won. It is a blooming that happens through you when you finally stop striving and simply allow it. It is the natural consequence of having done the deep work of embracing your own mud and learning to navigate your own waters. It is a surrender, not a conquest. What is this state of being, this awakened consciousness? It is not a permanent, blissed-out trance removed from the pains of human life. It is not an escape. It is a fundamental shift in your primary identification. Before, you identified with the wave. You believed you were your body, your thoughts, your feelings, your personal story. When a big wave of anger or sadness came, you felt you were the anger, you were the sadness. Now, you know that you are the ocean. You still experience the waves. The surface of your life will still have its storms and its periods of calm. but you are no longer tossed about by them. Your identification has shifted to the vast, deep, silent, and peaceful expanse of the ocean itself, which is never disturbed by the weather on its surface. The small, personal self, the ego, does not die. It simply becomes transparent, like a clean window pane. The light of consciousness, the light of your true nature, shines through it without distortion. You become a clear vessel for life to live through you. How does one practice this awakened state? The search for a future destination is over. You have arrived here, in this moment, and you discover that the practice is simply to be here, fully. The beauty you were seeking in a far-off heaven is present in the texture of this ordinary moment. The practice is to find the sacred in the mundane. It is to wash a cup with your full attention. Feel the warmth of the water, see the iridescent beauty of a single soap bubble, hear the clink of the ceramic in the sink. In that moment of total presence, there is no past, no future, no problem, no seeker. There is only the fullness of life, expressing itself as this simple, perfect act. This is the ultimate mindfulness. It is not a technique you use to de-stress so you can get back to your important problems. It is the joyous realization that the simple act of paying attention to the present moment is the most important thing there is. It is the destination you were looking for all along. The kingdom of heaven is not a place you go to when you die. It is a state of consciousness you inhabit when you become fully alive, right now. The fragrance of the lotus is not a reward for the end of the journey. It is the very atmosphere of the present moment, when you are awake enough to perceive it. The great search is over. The lotus has bloomed. You have touched the face of your own true nature, the timeless, formless, peaceful consciousness that you are. You have awakened from the dream of being a separate, struggling self, and have remembered the reality of your own divinity. But this magnificent blooming is not the final chapter. It is the beginning of a new way of living, a life of effortless being. And after the glorious, complex beauty of the flower has revealed itself, there is one final, graceful step. It is the journey back to simplicity, back to the essential. The lotus, having shared its beauty, eventually withers, its petals falling back into the water, leaving behind only the seed of what is to come. The final act of mastery is to let go of even the beautiful identity of the awakened one and to return to the simple, humble, powerful essence from which you began. It is time to become the uncarved stone. The sacred lotus has bloomed. In the sunlit peace of your own awakened awareness, you have experienced the fragrance of your true nature, the effortless unfolding of cosmic consciousness. The great search is over. You have arrived at the destination only to realize, with a quiet smile, that you were always here. It is a moment of sublime beauty, a pinnacle of human experience. And after the pinnacle, what comes next? After the magnificent expression of the flower, what remains? The journey now turns from the beauty of the bloom back to the silent power of the root. The final step is not one of more becoming, but of a great and graceful unbecoming. It is the return to the uncarved stone. There is one last and most subtle trap of the mind. It is the trap of the spiritual ego. The ego, that master of survival, is so clever that it can even take the profound experience of awakening and turn it into its newest and most prized possession. It creates a new identity, the identity of the awakened one. It looks out at the world with a quiet, knowing pride, subtly judging those who are still asleep. It may develop a fondness for using spiritual language, for recounting its own profound experiences, for wearing the invisible robes of a person who has arrived. It is the ego, cloaked in light. It is the final, most convincing illusion, creating a new, more refined form of separation. Having journeyed so far to dissolve the self, we are tempted to build a new, more beautiful one in its place. The ultimate act of freedom is to let go of this identity too. It is to see the experience of awakening not as a personal achievement, but as a natural process of the universe, and to then let the story of it fall away. Before the first pyramid was ever conceived, before a single mark was ever carved, there lay the great limestone bedrock of the Giza Plateau. It had rested there for millions of years, silent, solid, powerful, and complete. It had no name. It had no purpose. It had no story, it simply was. This is the uncarved stone. It is a symbol of your essential nature, your primordial being, before the world tried to carve you into a personality, before you tried to carve yourself into a success story, and even before you tried to carve yourself into an enlightened being. It is the silent, aware, and unshakable presence that was there before the journey began, and which remains after the journey is complete. The goal of this great work was never to become a magnificent, polished statue for others to admire. It was to realize the profound, simple, and unadorned dignity of the original, uncarved stone. How does one practice this great return to simplicity? We must learn the art of letting go, not just of our pain and our wounds, but of our achievements and our spiritual insights as well. There is an ancient practice from the sages of India known as neti neti. It means not this, not that. It is a process of gently dismantling our false identifications. You can practice this as a quiet, internal meditation. You look at your body, its aches and its pleasures, and you whisper to your soul, "I am not this body." You observe the endless stream of your thoughts, your clever ideas and your foolish worries, and you affirm, "I am not these thoughts." You look at your roles in the world, your job, your family position, and you know, "I am not this role." You look at your entire life story, the grand drama of your successes and failures, and you realize, "I am not this story." And then you take the final, liberating step. You look at the beautiful experience of awakening, the bliss, the sense of oneness, and you let that go too. I am not even this experience. When you let go of everything that you are not, all that remains is what you truly are. And what is that? It cannot be named, it cannot be described, it can only be felt. It is the silent, empty, yet fully alive presence that was aware of all those other things. It is the sky, not the clouds. It is the screen, not the movie. It is the uncarved stone upon which the entire world of experience is projected. The outward practice of this state is the discipline of sacred nothingness. It is the willingness to simply exist without an agenda, without a goal, without a project for self-improvement. It is to go for a walk in the woods with no intention of exercise or mindfulness, but simply to be a silent presence among the trees. To sit on a bench with no purpose other than to sit. In these moments of pure, goalless being, you feel your kinship with the world of form. You feel the simple, solid, non-striving existence of the rock, the tree, the mountain. You recognize that their silent, profound dignity is also your own. They are not trying to be anything other than what they are. And in their presence, you give yourself permission to do the same. This is the great peace that lies beyond all understanding. It is the profound relief of taking off every costume, of laying down every burden, of no longer having to be anyone special. The need to be right, the need to be seen, the need to be spiritual, the need to be healed, all of it falls away. And in its place is a quiet, simple, ordinary joy. The joy of just being here. In not needing to be special, you become free to be everything. In letting go of your story, you become one with the great unfolding story of the universe itself. You have come home. Our long journey through the inner pyramid of the soul is now complete. We began with the silent gaze of the Sphinx, inviting us into the mystery. We descended into the duat of our shadows, guided by the light of our own inner sun. We learned to weigh our heart against the feather of truth, to rewrite our inner scripture with the wisdom of Thoth, and to claim our power with the scepter of will. We healed our fragmented parts with the love of Isis, and we learned to read the signs of the universe. We have bloomed like the lotus in the light of our own awakening, and now we have returned. We have returned to the simple, silent, unshakable reality of our own essential being. You are the stone from which the temple was built, the silence from which the sacred chant arose. You are that. And in that simple, profound realization, you can finally, completely, rest. You have traveled to the deepest chamber of the great pyramid within, and you are now emerging. You step out from the cool, silent darkness of the eternal and back into the warm, temporal light of the sun. The world around you looks the same sky, the same earth, the same sounds and colors, but you are not the same. You carry the stillness of the uncarved stone in your bones and the wisdom of the ancient text in your heart. You are no longer a seeker, hoping to find a treasure. You have become the treasure itself. This was the great secret hidden in plain sight. The temple was never a place to be visited, but a state of consciousness to be inhabited. The sacred papyrus was not a map to a distant land, but the story of your own becoming. The pantheon of gods and goddesses were not external deities to be worshipped, but the archetypal powers of your own soul, waiting to be awakened. The magic of Isis, the wisdom of Thoth, the power of Horus is your inheritance. It is not a story from a dead civilization. It is a living energy that now breathes in you. How then do you live from this place? The journey is complete. The work is to simply be. Do not strive to become a great pharaoh, building monuments to your own ego. Instead, embody the principles of the world you have discovered. Be like the Nile. Live in a state of graceful flow, trusting the seasons of your own life, knowing that every flood of chaos comes only to enrich the soil of your soul for new growth. Be like the desert. Find your strength in a vast and profound inner silence, unbothered by the passing winds of worldly opinion. In your stillness, discover a power that is more potent than any frantic action. Be like the North Star. Anchor yourself to the eternal values you have uncovered within you, and let them guide your every move. While the world below may spin in confusion, you will remain a point of constant, quiet light. The peace you so desperately sought was never at the end of the path. The peace is the path. It is found in the simple act of being here, now, with your heart open and your eyes clear. It is the feeling of the sun on your skin, the taste of water, the sound of your own steady breath. You have returned home to the sacred ordinary. The search is over. You are awake. And your life, from this moment on, is the expression of that awakening. Be still and know.